Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Today is brought to you by Haven Today, Moody Radio Cleveland, home of Mornings with Brian.
He's got the headlines, got the biblical view, analyzing the news, giving truth that's true. Mornings with Brian, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Moody Radio Cleveland, 103.3 FM. Wake up in the morning, it's a brand new day. Tune into the station, gotta hear what they say. Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, from 6 to 9 a.m. Let's dive in.
Mornings with Brian, 6 to 9 a.m. on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Hi, I'm Mike Fabarez, Bible teacher on Focal Point. If you ever feel like you're just skimming through the surface of the Bible, well, I'd like to take you for a deeper dive on Focal Point, where we unpack God's Word verse by verse and bring clarity to the complex passages of Scripture. Again, I'm Mike Fabarez, inviting you to join me each weekday on Focal Point, airing right here on Moody Radio Cleveland at 2:30 p.m. Let's explore God's Word together.
The Bible teaches us that if we belong to Jesus Christ, we share his righteous status, his victory over sin, his pleasing standing before the Father. We share in all that, and it belongs to us. And we enjoy the benefits of everything that he has achieved.
Here is Jonathan Griffiths with today's Moment of Truth.
The default mode of the human heart is to think that we need to earn our standing before God. We need to make some big victories over sin. We need to put in the miles and build up our account. We need to prove ourselves to him. And maybe that's how you tend to think this morning. Maybe you're actually here at church today because you want to do that very thing. You need to build up some credit with God, and what better way than clocking up some hours at church on a Sunday morning? But our passage here this morning reminds us that what matters first and foremost is not what we do, but who we know. We'll never do enough to earn our way into God's good books. We'll never do enough to impress him. We'll never do enough to right the wrongs in our lives. But here's the good news. Jesus has done everything that is needed. And the key thing, the thing that matters, the thing that is important above all other things, is to make for absolute certain that we are with him, that we belong to him, that he is our representative before God the Father, that we share in his victory and we share in his righteousness.
This has been today's Moment of Truth with Jonathan Griffiths. To learn more, visit encounterthetruth.org.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Trump is warning that tariffs against Mexico and Canada could go up further. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. In an interview with the Fox News Sunday Morning Futures program, the president was asked if the business community would get clarity regarding his planned tariffs. In response, he said tariffs could increase, insisting that he's committed to stopping the U.S. from being ripped off. The University of Akron is moving closer to the selection of a new provost. 3 finalists for the position will make their case in presentations this week. Each of the 3 is a current employee of the university. And former Buckeyes running back and Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George is bringing his football knowledge back to Ohio. George tells WBNS-TV that he has accepted a 5-year contract to become the next head coach at Bowling Green State University. In sports, the Cavaliers gutted the Bucks 112-100. The Blue Jackets crushed the Rangers 7-3, and the Penguins tamed the Wild 3-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Sunny skies today and a little bit warmer with our highs in the lower 60s. Marvelous. Clear skies currently across our listening area. It's 41 degrees in Cleveland, 40 Akron and Canton, 37 degrees in Youngstown.
It's time for your moron moment.
March 10th is National Napping Day, and it's the perfect day to help you recuperate from the spring forward of daylight saving time. Napping is actually scientifically proven to be better for you than coffee or energy drinks. You may have lost that extra hour in the day yesterday, but you could feel like you caught up on some sleep by celebrating the day with a nap. And we all know Brian will. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:02 with Moody Radio News.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Well, I saw a news story over the weekend I thought was about Lauren. We're going to get to that here in just a couple of minutes. But Daria's back. Oh, my goodness.
Hey! Yay!
Oh, the whole band is back together again. We missed you, Daria.
Yeah, I missed you guys too.
We're going to hear about your difficult weekend here in just a little bit. But before we get there, so daylight saving time.
Mm-hmm. It happened.
Yay.
I saw a funny meme that said this. That hour we lost was the one I was going to use to get my life together.
I was going to use that.
Oh,
dang it.
Next year, maybe. we made the mistake. Well, probably not. It was good for him. My youngest son turned 11 yesterday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yesterday. I had to look at the date. You saw that? Yeah. Okay. And he decided what he wanted to do a big sleepover with there was like 6 10-year-old boys.
Oh, goodness.
Wow, that's a commitment.
Yeah, and my wife kind of made that commitment without chatting with me first, but I knew what she was doing.
So did you hide in the room?
No, I helped out. I mean, like I got up yesterday, made pancakes and
Cute.
did the whole bit. But at 11, the whole idea of sleeping is pretty dumb.
Oh, yeah.
They were all like, let's just see if we could stay up all night. In fact, Sarah said, because I was out, she got up at like midnight. She was like, all right, boys, time to start quieting
Settling
down
in.
now. And then she got up at like 2 and she's like, okay, let's not play video games anymore. Let's turn those off. At 5, it got up. They were still a little group of them. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to bed. Bye.
But honestly, that's the stuff you remember from when you were kids. So.
Oh, he had so much fun. Yeah, those boys had a blast. It was really cute. They were sweet kids, and I think their parents were really happy to give them to us. And
Yeah.
so you have that to look forward to,
Yes.
Lauren. Oh,
Taking the children, giving the children.
and poor Sarah was like, they're 11 years old, so I'm not worried about them running into the street.
Yeah.
But it's her baby, and so she was pretty anxious the Friday night, like hearing loud noises, and they're outside. Like, what if babe? They're not gonna. They're good. They're
Yeah,
not.
right.
I think when I was that age, I snuck out and walked around the whole neighborhood. I think we're okay. So, but it was a lot of fun. You had some issues come up this weekend. Then I thought I saw one about you. So you have stories, and I thought I saw a story about you. Not issues. Sorry, I'm not projecting. I had issues this weekend.
I didn't have issues. One was there was a person driving in front of me erratically.
Uh-oh.
What did you do?
Well, nothing. Slow down. Their license plate? Jezebel.
And so
I
you're
saw
like,
license plate. I said, that tracks.
That's
Yeah.
Appropriate.
it's their
There she
warning
is.
to you. I'm a little erratic,
Yeah.
slightly irrational.
It kind of actually made me feel a little bit better. I was like, oh, I guess that's fine. I guess you could be erratic.
Wow.
Maybe you know that about yourself, so you make your license plate Jezebel.
That's like the opposite of putting the Jesus fish on your car. It's like you're a mess driving. You think could they be a Christian? You think, and they're just like,
I don't know.
don't think of me when you think of Jesus.
I don't know.
That's wild.
Yes. Another car thing. I sent this to you, Brian, but Ron and Daria don't know. I stopped at a stoplight. There was a car next to me, a large SUV. The rear view mirror, or the side mirror was off.
Okay.
They had taped a vanity, mirror, like a handheld vanity mirror onto it. Like the squarish ones with a holder.
Yeah, like when you're holding it up to look at yourself.
The ones that a person in a salon gives you to look at the back of your head.
Yeah.
One of those. Taped it to their.
Hey, I mean,
I would do that.
I feel like it'd be less work to just get an actual replacement mirror and tape that
Oh,
on.
that's so funny.
who's the one comedian that would have called that like a redneck fix of your car or something?
Jeff Foxworthy.
Jeff Foxworthy would have loved that. It worked.
It worked. You could see.
It's a lot cheaper than getting it fixed. I'll
Right.
tell you that.
He probably had the mirror already, so it was no additional cost.
Yeah.
Had a roll of duct tape.
That's right.
What else do you need?
Wham bam.
And would you like my last story?
I would love it. Yeah.
This morning, probably 2 a.m.,
Uh-oh.
my 4-year-old was in bed with me. He woke up and said to me, Mommy, I opened my eyes and I saw someone in the rocking chair rocking that wasn't you. And I said, you better be quiet right now.
Was that when you elbow Eddie and say, Eddie, go check the rocking chair?
Well, Eddie's not at home.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
So of course it's when your husband's gone and can't go check out the noises and
Exactly.
whatnot.
So what did you do?
was
Just
like-
cover your head with your covers and
I was
say,
like-
don't move?
I said, I need to go to sleep. There's no one there. I need to go to sleep.
You think he was having a bad dream or something?
Yes.
Wow. And you just let it go and went back
No,
to
I
sleep?
did. I was like, oh, there's no one here. It's just us.
You looked.
Yeah, I said, it's just us. No, I didn't look. I'm not going to look. That's too scary. I just trusted and believed there was no one in the rocking
You
chair.
named and claimed there was no one there.
Yeah, so I said, no one's there. It's fine. Gigi's in the guest room. My mom. Gigi's in the guest room. You don't have to worry about that.
It wasn't the Gigi just soaking up the cuteness of
No.
everyone sleeping?
No. And it was 2 a.m. and I was like, I need to sleep. I only have an hour and a half left.
I find it so amazing that you just like, if there's someone there, Take me now.
So it'd be like,
I
it's just like whatever.
I don't want to know. I don't want to see it coming. Just take me out.
Yeah, if they're already in my room
It's
in
too
the rocking
late.
chair,
You might as well have
It's
a couple
over.
hours left of peace.
yeah,
You know,
let me
while
sleep
while you
they-
have it.
Yeah, let me sleep while they stare at me in my sleep. That's fine.
Wow. Dana's the exact same way.
Oh, yeah, I can't do anything about it. If I get up, I'm done. So I may as well just stay laying here.
Well, and if something goes wrong in the middle of the night, you don't want Ron Eastwood because Ron might get mad at you.
So true.
One night the bed just broke.
Yeah.
They're tipping at an angle. Dana wakes up Ron and he says,
Yes,
Hades?
I used a word I should not use and I will not use on the air. And I wasn't aware of it. So the next morning, of course, I went downstairs.
So what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She confronted me and the kids were getting ready for school and I said, okay, I believe you that I said that. And I said, kids, watch, and I put a decent sized dollop of dish soap on my finger and I scrubbed my teeth with it.
It's a good example, Ron.
Way to go,
My
Ron.
favorite part of the story is that you stayed in the broken bed all night.
It just
like slanted.
completely
You're like, this is normal.
unbothered.
I'm fine.
Well, if I'm asleep, I'm asleep.
Clearly.
Well, I was minding my own business.
Not likely.
Scrolling through Facebook because I'm an Xer. That's what we do. And I saw an article about a 4-year-old. And it was it was like a local news story.
Oh, Strick, oh my gosh.
And I was
what
like,
happened to Lauren and Trey?
Yeah. Wait, is Trey in the news? It's your oldest son, Trey.
Yes.
A little boy, as a matter of fact, was just fed up with his mother. And he picked up the phone,
Dialed 911.
dialed 911, and he said, come and get my mommy.
Please.
My mom is being bad. Pretty soon, mom grabs the phone. Wait, hello? And it was the 911 dispatcher. And she said, oh, okay. I ate his ice cream, so that's probably why he's calling 911. And I was like, is this Trey?
No. Trey gets a dairy-free ice cream. I would never eat that.
But see, do you see how it really could be how could you do this to me,
Oh,
mommy?
yes.
It's special ice cream just for me, and you ate
Yes,
it.
he would.
And you guys love your ice cream.
We do.
I checked the location, and it was
Wasn't.
not
not
Cuyahoga
me.
Falls.
Yeah.
Come
No,
and
I
get
didn't do
my
that.
mommy.
Please.
She's being bad.
Trey, that is something he would do, too.
And so the police officers were actually dispatched. There's a
Well, you
picture in
gotta
the news
check.
of the two cute cops, like behind a little boy. Hey, we're here. Everything's fine.
My gosh. I would be so embarrassed. Because that is something my child would do.
Any
He's very
child.
fascinated with, all emergency vehicles. We talk in depth every day about what to do in case of a fire. So that's
Just
just something he would do.
yeah,
he
make-
knows what to do in case of emergency.
Make
Like
sure-
missing ice cream.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. You're not encouraging that for theft yet.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever eaten anyone's ice cream at your house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common crime in the Cuevas household.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, Eddie, there was ice cream left in here.
That's why you got to get two, what are those? Are they? Yeah, small pints of something the other one doesn't like.
Oh, good strategy.
You like it, but they probably don't like it.
Is that really what you do?
Yeah, like if I was Sarah, I would get something chocolate so you wouldn't eat it.
Wow, that's brilliant and a bit sinister.
It's my ice cream. You get one for yourself, too.
It won't work in my house.
You just eat them all.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They're all good.
Yeah,
There
are
will
there
be a-
ice creams that people don't like?
I think so, Brian.
I mean, I don't want to eat a chocolate ice cream. And
There's something wrong with
also,
you.
by the way, Neapolitan, what's going on there?
Not a fan of
Doesn't
Neapolitan.
taste like strawberry at all. It's like different colors of vanilla.
This is true.
I don't understand that. Who invented that? What garbage.
Someone who wants all the best things at once.
But I do like a lot of. I mean, I'd eat cookie dough. I'd eat cookies and cream is good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. There's a lot of good stuff
Vanilla
out there.
based.
Yeah, but just vanilla, not going to do it. Total
Not
waste
even
of
a
time.
French vanilla or a vanilla bean.
Oh, I like that.
I like
That's
the home
just-
style vanilla.
Okay, someone's just charging you both more for the same thing.
No, the
No.
vanilla bean has the bean flecks in it and it's whiter. The French vanilla is a little bit more yellow.
Have you looked at the ingredients for bean
The
flecks?
richer flavors, too.
Like I think you're being scammed.
Bean flecks.
Like
No,
all of
scammed
Gen
of
Z.
what? They're the same price.
Well, right. I also saw in the news all of Gen Z are the ones being scammed for the tollway text messages.
Probably because they're nervous.
They've got me. They've got me.
I did get one of those.
And I think you're getting ice cream scammed. I got one, too.
You buy the ice cream and you eat it?
There is no scam with ice cream.
Speaking of the tollway scam, the other day we're in our meeting, and at 9:58, boom, 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 I'm getting all these texts. And I had my phone because Dana's laid up right now, so I wanted to be aware if she texts me. I had 6 in a row of the, from A, B, C, J, Q, L, M. Your tollway bill is overdue, and we're going to come get you and repossess your car and take your kidney or whatever.
Take your kidney.
But 6 right in a row. And I'm like,
did you pay them?
Well, I'm on a payment plan. There were 6, I couldn't do them all at once.
Yeah.
No, I just delete. No, I report junk. That's what I do with them.
It's junk, but sweet little baby Gen Z is getting scammed. So watch out, Gen Z. It's not real.
PSA, government agencies don't text you.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, coming up here in a couple of minutes, we have Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters, some marriage tips for us. And then Daria had a difficult couple of days last week, and we're going to get some reflections from her on that.
In this world filled with distractions and temptations, what does it really mean to walk with God faithfully? Join Today in the Word and devotional author Dr. Ryan Cook for an important Bible study on the book of Deuteronomy called Walk in Obedience. Read about Moses' final days as he chooses wisdom, life, and obedience to God. Do you have the courage to walk in obedience? Join our study at todayintheword.org or download the Today in the Word app.
I'm Roy Patterson of Moody Radio. We believe the gospel must constantly be forwarded to a new address because people are always moving. This world is changing, but our gospel changes everything. Your pre-share gift will help us start our event strong on March 11th, and I guarantee it will help us share Christ with more people.
To do that, go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Thank you.
Did you know the average American owns 6 or more pairs of shoes? But today, there are millions of children throughout the world who lack access to shoes altogether. Because of that, they won't be able to attend school, and they risk illness and disease. This spring, Buckner International and Moody Radio are partnering with you to provide new shoes and socks to some of the world's most vulnerable children. We've identified 42,000 kids who need shoes right now. You can meet this dire need for a child, providing health, offering dignity, and expressing the love of Christ by donating new shoes today. Give today at GiveShoesNow.com and change the life of a child forever. Dignity and hope may be only a pair of shoes away for a child in need. Will you join us to give new shoes and socks and share the love of Jesus with these kids? Right now, 42,000 children are waiting for someone like you and me to provide the gift of new shoes. Give today at GiveShoesNow.com.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
6:24. The whole team is back together again. Our friend Daria was out a couple of days last week. A quick reminder before she shares a little bit about that. Share starts tomorrow, Spring Share. We'd love your financial support. You can just go call 800-600-9624, or you can go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland. At 20% right now, which is very exciting. But
Yay!
we still have 80% of the way to go. So
Okay, well, we did 20% before, so how exciting.
very exciting, very exciting. Now, Daria, can you remind folks who don't remember where you were last week?
So a little bit of a background. For those of you that don't know, so I am born and raised in Ohio, but I did spend a little bit of time in Florida. So I have some very dear friends down there that I miss terribly. I got a call last week from someone I used to work with, good friend of mine I haven't seen in a really long time. Someone else that we knew that we also worked with had passed away in a head-on car crash. Her name was Jess. She was 38, and she has 4 young children. So obviously that was quite a shock. We were devastated. And so I made the decision. I went down to Florida last week so I could be with some friends and her family and be there for the services.
It's a hard decision to make for a lot of reasons, but it's the right thing to do is hard. And because I can't imagine how emotional and difficult that the wake was, if you went to that, or the funeral. Yeah, no, we went to visitation. It was a hard decision. I had the tickets pulled up on my computer, and I hadn't yet pulled the trigger and hit purchase. I was on the phone with my mom. Jimmy's like, go, whatever you need to do. Like, we'll make it work. You can go. And I was on the phone with my mom, like, Mom, I really don't want to go. I'm exhausted, but I need to go. And so I went. Wasn't thrilled about it. Obviously, no one wants to, fly across the country for a funeral, but it was the right decision. And so, for visitation, this is a small town, and it seemed like the entire town was there. We waited an hour and a half to get through the receiving line. The funeral home was just packed. So we get there, and there's an open casket, which we're actually surprised at. With the extent of her injuries. We were shocked that she was presentable enough for that. And so I, walk up there, was not expecting to see her. And, I broke down. And the kind of the cool thing is so her parents, who had actually never met before, wonderful, wonderful people. Her dad just comes up and he just embraces me. Her mom was just thrilled that we were there. We were just swapping stories. And even though so her husband and her parents, even though they're in the midst of their grief because they've lost, their wife and their daughter, they're asking me and another friend of mine who had flown in for the funeral, do you guys have a place to stay? Wanting to make sure that we were taken care of. Like, yes, we were staying with this other friend. Thank you. Just amazing, wonderful people. Handling it shockingly well. Struggling obviously, but handling it shockingly well. And then for the actual funeral service, it was held at her church, and it was unlike any funeral service I've ever been to. There was crying, obviously, but it was very worshipful. People gave messages on her life and how much she loved Jesus and how much she would want other people to know Jesus. Wow. So someone actually got saved at her funeral. Get out of here.
Yes.
Wow.
Her 14-year-old daughter led Goodness of God, kept it together, did an amazing job.
14?
She's 14 or 15. I can't remember. She's very young, just lost her mom, and led worship at her mother's funeral. It was just the most unbelievable thing the hardest and probably the best thing I think I've ever been a part of. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. Now, there are folks who would kind of, they'd feel horrible, but they probably wouldn't make the effort to go. You said it was the right thing to do, but a really hard thing to do. Why do you think it was right that you went?
Because I needed that closure. I hadn't seen her in a really long time. I was feeling a lot of guilt for not keeping in better touch. So it was just the right thing to do. I got to see her family. Her family was just so touched that we came all the way. They were shocked to see us. It meant a lot to them. And I also, I got to be with people that knew her. I got to see a friend of mine who was also very close to her that I had not seen in almost 2 years. So it was, there were some nice moments in between the heartache and the tragedy. because we were able to be there for each other and catch up and reminisce. It was nice.
Do you feel to some extent you were able to better process it because you went?
I think so. I mean, just seeing how, I mean, the video clips they played was actually kind of prophetic. So she actually also worked at a radio station, and when she quit this job that we had both had, her final sign off was, don't think of me, think of Jesus.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, she loved Jesus. She didn't want any credit. She wanted everything to be for him. So just to hear her from, beyond the grave, so to speak, talking about how much she loved Jesus and how that's all that matters was really healing and really comforting.
Well, we're grateful that you went.
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
It's a hard exercise. Sarah and I have done that before, and it means so much to people when you go to an effort for their loved one like that. And it's not just, going some afternoon, taking a quick drive.
I got on a plane.
And that to me demonstrates the weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. It's you're making the effort to do that, and it just means the world to them. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're glad you're back, but we're also glad you went.
Me too.
It's 6:30. We're going to pause for prayer here. When we come back, our friends Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters want to talk about connecting with your spouse.
I'm Nate Hunter, and this is Pause for Prayer. Should the Bible be in the classroom? Should the Ten Commandments be mandated in public schools? This is a long-standing point of debate, and one that seems to be intensifying as states like Texas ponder the text's placement in classrooms. Christian Post reporter Ian B. Giotti joins Billy Hollowell on the Inside Story podcast to explain the debate and explore why Jeff Warren, senior pastor at Park Cities Baptist Church, takes a unique view on this matter. Let's pause for prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with heavy hearts for our children and grandchildren. We come to you with a heavy heart for our nation that has taken the Bible out of the classroom. Many of us, like me, can remember my mom as a teacher taking her Bible with her and placing it on her desk in the front of the class. To debate or reinstate Christian guidelines into the educational system. What we can do is share this issue with others, and we can lay it at your feet in prayer. We ask you now, Lord, for more Christian teachers who will influence kids to think in godly ways. We ask you to send more kids to church and what we call Sunday school to actually hear the Ten Commandments and have them explained. Please allow children and adults to hear the name of Jesus and not just be influenced by his words, but be changed by them. Thank you, Lord, that many of us have been raised in a free country with a Bible accessible to read. This next summer, allow many churches to pour time and resource into Vacation Bible School, or some call it Vacation Bible Camp. Give them enough teachers and helpers. Please put it in the hearts of those children and parents who don't usually darken the doors of a church to attend and hear the life-giving message of Jesus' death and resurrection. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Brian's third grade teacher left us a voicemail.
Please record your message.
I always thought that Brian would be a circus performer or a radio host. At least I got one right.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3
637 WCRF. There is a lot of importance to connecting with your spouse in a lot of different ways. And we're going to be talking about that now with our good friends Joe and Cindi Ferrini. They spoke nationally for Family Life's Weekend to Remember Marriage Getaway and for many years. And Cindy's been a Pause for Prayer contributor since 1998. Joe's a new contributor. They're all over the place. Joe and Cindi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning.
Great. Joe, I've been enjoying your work on that. I'm so excited for you that you started doing Pause for Prayer.
Yeah, thank you. Well, she's pretty persuasive when she wants something.
Yeah, nobody says no to Cindi Ferrini, I tell you. Now, you have a couple of areas where you want to talk today about connecting with a spouse. Talk to us about that.
Yes, we do. First of all, we think it's important, not just, the body. We often think, we want to hold hands and have intimacy, sexual intimacy. But really, a lot of that doesn't start until we have really touched each other's mind and spirit. And I think this is so interesting, kind of prompted me to choose this topic. But Dave and Ann Wilson of Family Life, they're the radio show hosts as well as Family Life's Weekend to Remember speakers. They had a post and it said, "Before marriage, the enemy does all in his power to make you have sex. After marriage, the enemy does all that he can to keep you from having sex." And I think that as we go through just very quickly, I'm going to just give a quick rundown and we can get into the meat of the story here. I think it's just so true. And the world really puts the emphasis on the body and thinking that, if we're physically attracted, we're going to, everything's going to be great. We're going to have a great relationship, but really the mind and the spirit are also very important. The mind would be the soul, your thinking, your personality, your feelings, like all the emotional parts of things, and your spirit then is the heart, the deepest part of you, really that can make connection with the Lord. So those are the three things that we really want to talk about. And just one little thought we can have is, there's been so many different studies done through orphanages and things like that, where just the physical needs of a child is met, like just their food, their cleanliness, their health. But without the affection, many of them are really just in survival mode. And I think that is what happens in our marriage. If we're just taking care of sort of just, the immediate needs of things and not really digging in a little bit deeper, we're just in survival mode.
Yeah, and a newly married couple might hear you say that and be like, well, that's not going to happen to us. But, I mean, when you get kids in the picture, it's so easy to just really become great teammates.
Sure.
At scheduling and things like that.
Well, that's good. And there's nothing wrong with having a schedule, I'll say that.
Right. No, you need one to survive, obviously. But it's like, wow, we're a good team. Yay,
Well,
but that's not marriage.
Yeah. Well, we need to make sure we carve out time for each other. I mean, the most important relationship in a family is the relationship between us, you and your spouse. And so it needs to be very intentional, and really it's something that needs to be nurtured a lot at every age, every process, every time of the marriage, early on and late on in your marriage. And the later years is really becoming more and more critical. We're finding that we just be very intentional about spending time with each other. And, you would think in retirement, you just have all this time all just coming at you. But,
We've never been busier.
we've never been busier in our lives.
Wow, I
than in
bet.
retirement. So, but even that we just need to be very proactive and just being intentional and being affectionate towards one another.
Well, and let's start breaking some of these down. I mean, let's start with the mind, because somebody might go, I don't even know what you mean by this as a married couple.
Sure. Well, first of all, and let's just repeat one more time that the world tends to think that if we have a connection with sexually with someone, that's a great foundation, and really it isn't. The foundation begins, as you just said, with the mind. And so I like to think of the mind, and different things I've researched and taught and learned in the past is the soul. That's our likes and our dislikes. We want to share with each other. We want to learn to enjoy each other's company. I guess I like to think of it as getting to know each other from the inside out. And those are the kinds of connections that you make in terms of in your mind where you're connecting with a person and being able to say, you know, like, I really like them. I like what they stand for in terms of life and things going into the future. You know, what things do you like about each other?
Yeah, I just think it's really important that your spouse is your best friend. And again, that is so important to have. And you think about all the friendships you've had over the years and the efforts that you've put into developing those friendships, and you need to realize that that's what you need to be doing with your spouse as well.
Yeah, and that connection really is, you know, we're talking about likes and dislikes. It doesn't mean that you like everything the same. It means that you're willing to maybe try doing things that the other person enjoys doing. Maybe you like golf, but your spouse doesn't. Well, maybe the spouse could take up golf and just try it. I often think back to my mom and dad, and my dad loved to play golf, and he had a boat, and he liked to go fishing. Well, those were not two things, excuse me, that my mom really liked, but she took up golf, and she would go on his boat. So, you know, she did not swim, so that was another issue that was really hard for her to want to get out on the boat. But she took those steps, and I think that's important for all of us to say, you know, how can we enter the other person's world a little bit? And it doesn't mean we have to love it, but can we tolerate it without having an attitude? And can we just look at that as saying, let's spend time with that person and learn to like what they like, and just enjoying each other's company and time together.
At least make an effort to try to do it. You know, I mean, I would not want to enter into Cindy's sewing world, for example.
She may not want you there either, Joe, but...
No. Maybe a visit to the emergency room. But she's very good at that, and I encourage her to do that, and I can applaud her and all those things, but I just can't do that.
But, you know, we can encourage each other, as he said, and that is a way of touching that person's mind in terms of connecting with them. Showing interest in a way that is even just conversational if it isn't actually, you know, jumping in and being a part of that activity. So it's really, I always like the word intentional. It's being intentional about the other person. And you know, when we get to know each other and get to know somebody for the first time, you're curious, right? Mm-hmm. Like, tell me about yourself. What do you enjoy doing? Where do you enjoy going? What movies do you enjoy? That sort of thing. And we have to continue that in marriage. It cannot just be a dating thing. It has to be a marital thing too.
Now, as part of the mind, you mentioned here is personality. What do you say to the couple where, you know, when they're dating, their partner is just so cute and silly, and then you get married and it's like, wow, they're kind of annoying. Like that, what was cute before is annoying now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, Joe always says that's going to happen, you know, because we're with somebody so much, and especially, you know, now in retirement, we're together all the time. Of course, we did do a lot of things before too, traveling, speaking. I worked at the office, different things like that. So, you know, we've always been together, and most of the time it hasn't been a problem. But I do think, you know, that is something you have to pay attention to. If you can't tolerate a person's personality before you get married, you're going to have a hard time when you get married. Yeah. But then saying, when you get married, those are the kinds of things that I always say, you know, we smooth off our rough edges. So if there is something, then I think we should be able to share that with each other. And the person who's being told needs to listen and try to make some corrections to things that they can.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've enjoyed learning more about Lauren and Eddie, because they're really open about these things. And Eddie has no trouble looking at Lauren and being like, why do you keep carrying 18 things down the stairs and almost falling?
Yeah, he did it on Friday.
Stop that. You don't stop it, but he can say it.
He did it on Friday. I was trying to do something and hold our child, and he looked at me and said, I'm standing right here. Please ask for help.
I thought you were going to say you thought you could get away with me, and I'm standing right there. But that was nice. He's there to help. That's a good point. Yeah. So, you know, as you get older, Lauren, you'll think differently about that. You won't be carrying your kid down the stairs.
Yes, hopefully.
For one thing, but on the other hand,
he's 16. Put him down.
But he's my
Enough
baby
already, Lauren. Exactly.
That's so sweet.
But you will think of things differently, because you'll start to think like, well, what if I fall? When you're younger, you think, well, I've got this. And as you get older, you do start to think a little bit differently. But I think, that's a beautiful thing. Your husband's willing to help. So why wouldn't we take the help of our spouse? And I think that what you just shared, I don't want to say easy, like, oh, it's so easy, you can check that off your list. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but it's easier when someone points out something like, I'm here to help, versus maybe it's a personality thing, like, I don't like when you talk this way or say that, and it's more of a personal issue than it is like a help issue, that they can contribute to it.
Very good. 6:48, time for a quick break here. We're talking with our friends Joe and Cindi Ferrini with their My Marriage Matters segment. When we come back, we'll continue chatting about these 3 ways you can connect with your spouse.
From Moody Publishers, a book designed to grow your faith, to really authentically grow your faith. In Fake Christianity, Jed Coppinger exposes the hidden traps of hypocrisy, prayerlessness, neglecting the Bible, gossip, and bitterness. Then, with a pastoral heart, Coppinger takes you through the teachings of Jesus, showing how to overcome inauthenticity and grow in true discipleship. Is it time to finally get serious about following Jesus? Fake Christianity is available right now at moodybooks.org.
Take your ministry to the next level at Moody Theological Seminary. Our Doctor of Ministry program equips leaders like you to thrive in your calling. Choose from biblical preaching, executive leadership and ministerial management, Christian community, pastoral care and counseling, or interdisciplinary studies. Tailor your learning to your unique ministry needs. Options to study in Chicago, Michigan, or online. Visit moody.edu/dmin today to learn more. That's moody.edu/dmin.
Don't forget to assemble together. That's what Hebrews 10:25 says. Hi, I'm Chris Brooks from Equip. There's something about being together that helps us take the next step with Jesus. Wells shares right around the corner, and we'll hear about how God has used Moody Radio to help listeners just like you trust in Jesus. Together, we can boldly share Jesus Christ on Moody Radio.
Go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland. moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
4 out of 5 scuba diving pizza delivery men recommend listening to Mornings with Brian. The other one says Brian's humor is a little too cheesy for his taste. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
You're still my God.
It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. Good morning. We're going to be giving away some coffee here in the next 15 minutes. You're going to want to think about how to stay tuned so you can possibly win it. That made a little bit of sense when I said it in my mind.
Sense, actually.
And, well, I'm working on it.
Think
It's
about how
Monday.
to stay tuned.
I don't even know what time it is. We have the time change. I'm thinking about everything, Lauren. Okay, and with us on I'd say the phone, but it's not. It's
Brian,
threw
people
me
don't need
off.
to know this information, how they connect. Just like
Let me start
dig
over.
in.
Hi, I'm Brian. We're on the radio, and it's Joe and Cindi Ferrini. They spoke nationally with Family Life's Weekend to Remember, and it's My Marriage Matters. We're talking about connecting with your spouse in body, mind, and spirit. We talked about mind. Tell me about the spirit.
Who's going? Me. Okay. So, the spirit, so the mind, we'll just say real quickly, the mind is the soul, the likes, the dislikes, that sort of thing. And the spirit is really the shared commitment that we would have to values. And of course, ultimately, and most importantly, what is our spiritual connection to the Lord, and how does that play out in our marriage? And how do we touch each other, in that area? I think is just very important.
Yeah, and I think we need to understand, this is mostly for the guys that need to understand this, that, affection, that's just the context in which we need to operate when it comes to our marriages. And the good news is that, we're never too old to learn. And it's really, it's been a learning process for me my whole life here, just how to, do those things that my wife loves to have me do. But it comes from a motivation from within me to want to serve her, to love her, and to nurture her. And I mean, all that is kind of wrapped up in that term affection. And so that clearly, our attitude is extremely important, and openness to communications and thoughts and feelings, will be that thing that will help us to continue to move towards building sexual intimacy in our marriage relationships.
And I do think too, for those of us who love the Lord, we want for that spiritual aspect of our marriage to be so important, and that we dig deeper all the time into God's Word, conversations with each other, ways that we're learning things from God, praying together. All of those things, the mind and the spirit, really should be what leads up to the body in terms of touching the body. If we don't have some of those foundations, being sexually intimate can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. As Christians, we know right from the first two chapters of the Bible that God clearly is concerned about human sexuality. You don't really have to go too far to realize that in even the first two chapters of Genesis, that right from the very beginning, God said it was not good for Adam to be alone. And God's answer to that one, he creates Eve. And then soon after that, he lays out the foundations of the blueprint, the framework for marriage. And that's in Genesis 2:24. And where it says that the man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And most of the authorities, commentators I've read on this topic clearly agree that that term one flesh is a primary reference to sexual intercourse or increased sexuality. And there's no time frame on that one. There's no age limit on that, okay? And I think, as Cindi stated earlier, the sexual experience is that thing that really, I think, bonds the husband and wife together in the deepest possible levels, at all levels, intellectually, emotionally, sexually, socially, and spiritually, and physically. And it really is, from my perspective, it truly is a bonding experience that's reserved for marriage.
Or should be reserved for marriage. In our culture, that's definitely an important part. Right. The Bible talks in some research that I was doing. In 5 times it says the words one flesh, which does mean sexual intimacy. And so, how then are we to touch each other in terms of our body? Well, there's a lot of benefits, as I've read, to kissing. And it shows that very good.
Oh,
I bet that was Brian.
Whoops. Yeah, I guess I hit the bell there.
And it just, things that I've read says that it lowers stress and depression, and it raises relationship satisfaction, lowers cholesterol, increases oxytocin, which is the chemical connected to bonding. And so, how does that play out in a marriage? Well, it's not just in the bedroom. I think it's also important if you just kiss each other before you go to work, or you're leaving the home for the day.
Now, doesn't Joe have a stopwatch for this? Wasn't it 2 minutes, Joe, is your expectation? I can't remember. It's 30 seconds? I don't remember.
Yeah, that was kind of when I was just kind of young in the Lord. I was.
I thought you said at one point, though, that you got to let it linger for a minute here.
I did, yes.
He says the 30-second kiss is very important, and we always kiss, we pray, and we always kiss before we go to bed. But he always says, do it for 30 seconds, and it might lead to something else.
Yes. We're just trying to create the right environment, remember?
That's great.
So, affection is important. And if you're not laying the foundation, if it's just like, let's have sex tonight, that there's nothing behind that in terms of the mind, the spirit, the affection. And, sometimes in real life, in real family life, maybe that is what has to happen, because this is the only few minutes that we have, the only time that we have in our day. And so it has to be something that's maybe not so intimate in terms of planning and preparing and affection and passion and, all that kind of stuff. But we have to have, if you will, a pattern or a plan so that sexual intimacy is enjoyable and not just, a check at the end of the day of a squared box and say, okay, did that, we're good, move on to the next thing. That doesn't have affection to it.
Yeah, I mean, for us as Christians, sex really is to be recognized as a very unique expression of our love for each other and our commitment to each other and to bring pleasure to each other. And all those things are those things that contribute to bringing us closer together as a husband and wife. And I'll just add in this other piece here as well, and that, sex, it was never intended to be a recreational activity, between the sexes before marriage. That has never been part of God's plan for building oneness in a marriage relationship.
Yeah, it's so important to have these conversations, I think, for Christians to have them, which is why we're grateful for our friends Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters. Before we say goodbye, any final thoughts for us as we wrap this up?
Well, I would just say that, keep in mind that all relationships, especially the parts of your relationship, especially the sexual one, it includes passion, which is romance, the physical attraction, communication, and then intimacy, the feelings of being close together and connected, and then commitment, that decision to choose someone and maintain that love relationship with them for your whole life. And I can just say, and I think Joe would agree with me, that, the longer that we're married, there is a deeper intimacy, and it's, so we're so glad that we didn't along the way when there were times when we felt like, we could quit because life gets rough, and it's going to get rough in every marriage. If it hasn't yet, just hold on, it will.
Yes.
And so, what is the level of your commitment to each other? And all of these things, the passion, the intimacy, the commitment, they all interact with each other, not just in the body part of our marriage, but the spirit and the mind as well.
Amen. Amen.
Wonderful. Thanks to you both. And if folks want to connect with you more deeply with My Marriage Matters, how do they find you?
My Marriage Matters on Facebook is a good place. And we already have posted the quote from Dave and Ann Wilson, which posted just a few minutes ago. And then they can also reach us at joeferrini.com or cindyferrini.com.
Wonderful. God bless you both. And we're always grateful for your time today.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye-bye now. It's 7:02. It's time to get to Ron's news and today's Moron Moment. And then to come in the next half hour, we're going to talk about why a bunch of Christians are mad at a guy named Jason Bradley DeFord. And we're also going to give away some coffee, some Mornings with Brian blend. We'll tell you how you could win it in just a few.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials are planning to hold peace talks in Saudi Arabia this week. It's 7:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, says representatives of both countries will work to create a framework for an initial ceasefire and a peace agreement with Russia. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is still attempting to repair relationships with the U.S. following a heated exchange with President Trump in the Oval Office. Ski season is ending soon. Boston Mills Ski Resort and Brandywine Ski Resort are open for one more week. Alpine Valley has closed as of Sunday. Ski season was better this year than last year because of the cooler temperatures. And fees for vehicle registration and title transfers could be going up in Ohio. A portion of the proposed state budget bill calls for a hike of $10 for annual registration costs and a $3 increase for titles. The additional dollars would be used to support the Ohio State Highway Patrol. In sports, the Cavs gutted the Bucks 112-100. The Blue Jackets crushed the Rangers 7-3, while the Penguins tamed the Wild 3-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast: sunny and warmer with highs in the lower 60s. And at last check, clear skies, 40 degrees in Cleveland, 36 Akron and Canton, 36 in Ashtabula as well.
It's time for your moron moment.
March 10th is National Napping Day, and it's the perfect day to help you recuperate from the spring forward of daylight saving time. Napping is actually scientifically proven to be better for you than coffee or energy drinks. You may have lost that extra hour in the day, but you can at least feel like you've caught up on some sleep by celebrating the day with a nap. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:06 with Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
7:09, Christians are mad at Jelly Roll. We're going to tell you more about that here in about 15 minutes. Not the donut. Is that a donut, Jelly Roll?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like it's your favorite
Type
kind
of
donut.
pastry.
And it was like a jazz musician of the 30s.
A popular name.
Wow.
Jelly Roll Morton.
Christians are perfectly fine with that Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
But not this Jelly Roll.
Because most of us don't know the old guy.
Right.
But wasn't he great at piano, the original guy?
I believe so, yes.
This new one doesn't play piano, so he's out. You know, we'll talk more about why people are mad at him in a couple of minutes here. But first, tomorrow starts the big day. We do a couple times a year. We do our share campaign.
All right.
And for those who don't know, it's when we remind you we're listener supported. This is a listener supported ministry, so we set aside some programming days to raise the funds that we need to stay on the air.
Yep.
And because of you and your grandma and some of you, your great grandmother, we've been on the air since 1958. Because they were generous. And so it's your turn. You.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of people show up already. We're very excited about this.
Yes, Julia and Dalton, Abram and Dalton. What's happening in Dalton?
Wow.
What's going on over there?
Dalton, rise up.
Dalton, rise up.
And I'm so proud of you for it. Like, a lot of people locally can't say it right.
Dalton.
And you're like a local. Look at you. It's like you've always been here.
Well, on Friday you told me I didn't even live here. So which one is it?
Why did I say that?
Yeah.
Why did I say that?
Because you're being mean to me.
Oh, sorry.
Also to Beverly in Macedonia, Barbara and Dalton. What's going on?
Dalton.
Dalton, what's going on?
They're rising up. We
They
said
are.
Cuyahoga Falls rise up.
And they did not.
No.
But Dalton rose up. Abram said, Moody Radio is a daily encouragement to me. I listen to Mornings with Brian on my way to work, and either Janet Partial or Faith and Finance Live with Rob West on my way home. I'm right now using the Faith Fi app to manage the money God has entrusted me with, and because of that, I'm able to give back this gift to Moody Radio.
How nice.
Love it. Yeah, we're
is so
looking for
sweet.
first-time donors, people who've listened for a long time or a little bit of time and never given before. Don't forget there's that auto gift option, which I prefer. I was pleasantly surprised at how generous I was to a compassion child when I got the statement at the end of the year. I was like, what? It's one of those where you probably wouldn't give as much.
If you do a one-time gift, you're not going to give as big.
Yeah,
But throughout a year,
Yeah.
it becomes actually a pretty sizable gift.
So spread it out. Why not? You can just you can set it up so that it does an automatic deduction from your account, or automatically charge your credit card if you want the points or whatever. You can set all that up pretty easily because there's three options when you go to our website or when you get the link on your phone. It's you can give a one-time gift, give an auto gift, or increase your auto gift. And I haven't said it much yet this year, but I mean inflation's a thing if you haven't noticed, and you've noticed. Let's just be honest.
How could you not?
It affects
$8 and
everyone.
$10 eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not buying eggs over here, but we certainly are still paying for electricity and things like that that are getting very expensive. So remember us, maybe consider increasing that auto gift if you're able. If you can't, totally understand. But consider it's easy to do. If you go to our website, moodyradio.org/Cleveland, moodyradio.org/Cleveland. And there's a simple phone number that Lauren's going to sing for us.
I won't sing it, but I'll say it. 800-600-9624. Or you can text the word share to that same phone number, 800-600-9624.
You know what was really sweet about the way you did that? The first time you said it, it was a little sing-songy.
It was just a little bit melodic.
Did you
Wow.
sense
I caught
it?
it, yeah.
Look at me.
That was really nice. Thank
Look,
you
I
for
did
that.
it. Yeah, sure.
That's great. I'll count that as singing. You
Okay.
did it. 800-600-9624 or text share to that number, and we'd be super happy to have your support.
And if you're from Dalton, they're rising up, so you too.
And Cuyahoga
Dalton,
Falls,
rise up.
Don't embarrass Lauren again this year.
We were not embarrassed in the fall. Cuyahoga Falls was not embarrassed in the fall. Cuyahoga Falls actually was one of the 5G Club with Dave Safransky in the fall.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're basically living near the heart of Cuyahoga Falls.
Yes.
And so your expectations are high for your community.
Yes, they are.
A little bit, a lot more people than where I live in the heart of Nelson Township, right near the Circle.
How do you know it's more people? You're just more spread out.
I
Maybe
live
it's more
in
people.
Nelson Township.
Maybe it's more people. More people per house.
I guarantee.
Okay, fine.
There's a lot fewer people. But on a side note,
That crinkling you're hearing.
I know. What is he crinkling about over there?
I'm crinkling something about that is also from Cuyahoga Falls.
Yes.
Our friends at Yada Yada Coffee, who Tommy, the lead guy there,
The owner.
the owner, he loves
Lead
Jesus,
guy. The roaster.
loves coffee. Lauren walks over there with the stroller every once in a while and picks
Not
up.
in the wintertime, but in the summer, that's right.
You get the stroller out today.
I could.
It's going to be like 70 this week.
Yeah, I can't wait. I already started my yard work, by the way. I couldn't wait any longer. I did it yesterday. I had
Even
a
though John
shovel.
told you not to?
I was digging a hole.
Oh.
I have to dig a hole.
Okay,
It's a
that's
long
fine.
story that we'll get to a different day, but I didn't enjoy it, but I was doing it. Our friend Tommy at Yada Yada Coffee has created a Mornings with Brian blend. If you're watching the live stream, you can see it there. And there's even a little part of the bag where you can see the coffee beans.
There are real beans inside that bag.
Yes.
You can only get this specific blend
From us.
from us, or I suppose you could go to Tommy at Yada Yada, couldn't you,
No, you
and say,
can't.
fix me up a cup of your,
No, they
I'm
don't-
Irish.
no, they
Fix
don't
me-"
do that.
No?
No.
You can only get it
We're
from
super
us.
special.
So how do you want to do this, Lauren? We got two
Well, we did
half-pound
this
bags.
last week and we broke the texting system. So I'm going to say we're going to do calls. It was very horrifying. I wish Daria was here to see it.
I need to hear about this later.
Yes. So we're going to do calls. Let's do caller number 2 and 4.
Okay.
Caller numbers 2 and 4 each will get a half-pound bag
Yes.
of Mornings with Brian blend coffee from Yada Yada Coffee in Cuyahoga Falls. Call now. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you, they encourage you, and it's proven too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
When you open the Bible, you want to hear God's voice clearly and understand His message deeply. That's why over 100 leading biblical scholars created the New Living Translation. It is faithful to the original texts and written in clear, natural language. Beautifully crafted to be read aloud, the NLT is perfect for listening, teaching, and memorizing Scripture. Looking for a Bible that is accurate, understandable, and audibly enjoyable? Discover the New Living Translation today. Learn more at newlivingtranslation.com.
Charles Spurgeon said, "I will not believe that thou hast tasted of the honey of the gospel if thou can eat it all to thyself." Chris Fabry here, and at Moody Radio, we believe the gospel changes everything. That's why we're so passionate about sharing it every day. Your pre-share gift will help us launch into a new season of sharing Christ.
And if you'd like to give a pre-share gift, you could do so at moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Click on Share.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
That's Brandon Lake on WCRF. There's two versions of that song, actually. There's another one where he does a duet interpretation of that piece with a country artist named Jelly Roll. And there's Christians mad at Jelly Roll, and Brandon Lake for that matter, because
For
of it.
associating with Jelly Roll.
Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar, this is not the 1920s ragtime pianist, and it's not a donut, although I'm sorry for making you hungry.
Yes, I wish it was.
Jelly Roll is the professional name for Jason Bradford DeFord. He's an American rapper, singer, and songwriter. His career started in about 2003, and he rose to prominence following the release of some songs in 2022. Son of a Sinner and Need a Favor are the two songs. And Son of a Sinner got him a CMT, so Country Music Television Music Award. Why do they do that?
Do what? CMAs.
Country Music Television Music. Country Music Television Music Award. Anyway,
Well,
it just feels like it's a lot of different media forms smashed into one there.
Yeah, the Country Music Academy probably has their awards, and then CMT would be the country equivalent of what MTV used to
there
be.
you go.
Music television.
Yeah,
I don't know. Country probably doesn't do videos either anymore.
Yeah, well, he got the CMA award for Best New Artist, and it's a while back. So for those who don't know the guy, I think knowing who he is and his background is kind of important.
Okay.
So he was born and raised in Antioch neighborhood of Nashville, Tennessee. His father was a meat salesman, which is a funny way to put it. It's not a butcher.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's door to door or if it's
Yeah,
You have a
'cause they-
cooler on
Traveling
wheels.
meat salesman.
They do have them. I've had a guy come
Oh my
into
gosh.
my house as a meat salesman before.
Or it could be the front counter guy at the butcher shop. He's
Could
not
be.
cutting, he's selling. I don't know. We'd have to call our friends at Duma Meats and find out. And his mother, his dad was a bookie on the side. And his mother suffered from mental illness and addiction. He was baptized at age 14, but says around the same time he began dabbling in drugs and stopped going to church. He said, the same year I got baptized, I got arrested, and that started what would be a 10-year cycle of incarceration, in and out. He was arrested several times, spent time in jail for various charges and felonies, including possession with intent to distribute and aggravated robbery. So, not like he didn't get arrested for yelling at people. It's bad stuff. And while in prison, he got his GED. So, specifically, he returned to his Christian faith at age 39 when his daughter, who was 14 at the time, expressed an interest in being baptized.
We see this happen a lot. Kids being interested in church and their parents have no connection to church anymore or at all.
Yeah, it's happening with a lot of frequency, actually. He said, I should go see what kind of cult she's going to, he said, recalling it. He said, because that's kind of how I was looked at the church at the time. And then I went and I was reminded of the genuineness that can be in those walls, too. I was reminded of the humanity and the compassion and the forgiveness, the love of the community, more than anything, watching her and all of her friends there. He said, I might wear it a little different than other people. I might say things the other Christians don't think are right to say, but ultimately, I have a heart for God and I have a heart for Jesus. I mean, that's a pretty specific proclamation of faith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't say the doxology here or give the 4 spiritual laws, but to say he has this heart for God and for Jesus is very Christian. Daria was making a face when he said, I might wear it a little different than other people and I might say things other Christians don't think are right to say. But ultimately, I love Jesus.
I think he may have condensed it, or whoever wrote the article may have condensed his statement, but I'm not seeing a repentance kind of feel there. It was just, I had this life of sin, and I went to the church where my daughter's been going, and I was reminded of how the good old days were. Okay, there maybe he, repented and said, Lord, I've strayed from your path. But I just don't. Just going and feeling good at a church service is not going to get you to heaven.
I mean, I am not here to judge the genuineness of anyone's faith. I am not here to do that, and I don't want to do that. But I do think some of the concerns with the Brandon Lake collaboration are not entirely unfounded, because there are, there are Bible verses about unwholesome talk coming out of your mouth, and he does have some songs that have some language that, as he admits, Christians would not use, and I think the way he just shoves it off is like, I say things that other Christians wouldn't say. It's like there is no like one size fits all type of Christianity. I think it's okay that he has, tattoos and is a little rough around the edges. That doesn't bother me. But when he's talking about things that are explicitly in the Bible, he's like, oh, it's no big deal. That concerns me.
What if he's just on a journey, though?
It sounds like he is on a journey, and I think that's wonderful. And again, I'm not here to say he is or is not saved. But I also think we need to approach his music with a little bit of caution.
Yeah, and I've talked before. I had a chance a couple times to spend some time with a guy named, I don't know his real name, Fieldy is his stage name. He was in the band Korn. Don't go look up Korn. Just don't. It's worse than, like, seismically worse than Jelly Roll.
Yes.
And I talked to him when he was early in his faith, and we were like, wow, pretty horrible lyrics in your band. He goes, I don't sing them. Somebody else does. Oh. Well, you're swearing a lot. I know a lot of Christians who swear, he said. I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah, there's a level at which you could be early in your journey of faith. But I understand what you're saying, too, Daria. Like, we have to have, as followers of Christ, we have to draw some lines. We have to be careful.
Especially if you're going to be consumed, because I've looked up his discography, and he does have a lot of songs that seem to be, very, pro-Christian, anti-addiction, that kind of thing. That's wonderful. But if we're listening to Christian music by someone who maybe is still on a journey and doesn't have the greatest grasp of scripture or theology, I think we need to be careful about consuming that, because we might have some weird ideas put in our head.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do we do, though, with a bunch of those songs may have been before he rediscovered the Christian faith and recommitted his life to Christ? That's a tougher one.
You still need to exercise caution, because what he's saying now, he's clearly still on a journey, and I hope he completes this journey. But I just think you need to be a little bit careful.
Because I think about the band, old band for us geezers, Kansas.
Yeah.
The guy that sang Dust in the Wind became a believer.
Kerry Livgren.
I bet he had to sing Dust in the Wind a lot after that, though. That's got to be weird.
Yeah.
All we are is dust in the wind.
I think he always either prefaced it or postfaced it with
JK, Jesus.
Yeah, but longer words. But yeah, he would give a soliloquy about this is, when I was early in my years with Kansas, I was lost and felt like there was nothing to life. And I wrote this song, do, 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 do. And then you come back. I no longer believe that we're just dust in the wind. I believe that Jesus Christ created us and has a purpose for our life. That's
pretty good. That's pretty good. And
I should be Kerry Livgren.
We also have a tendency to elevate as Christians and get really excited when someone of celebrity professes faith in Christ.
Oh, yeah.
And we do so far too quickly. One of the ones that's been curious to me recently is Russell Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's already a pretty eccentric guy.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's posting all these TikToks about his Christian journey. And it's just, I'm already kind of like, whoa, he's weird. God bless him.
Mm.
But people getting maybe too excited. Like, give the guy a minute to figure out what the Trinity is before we start platforming this guy.
Yeah. I always disliked when someone would profess Christ and, you heard about it in CCM magazine as he was releasing his Christian album. No, wait a minute. If you've come to Christ, great, write all the songs you want, but let's not publish it and put you out on the stage until you've had a little time to do the research, to come to grips with your faith that most of us are doing in our late teens, early 20s.
And privately.
Yeah.
Well, with all that in mind, Brandon Lake has gotten pushback for his collaboration on Hard Fought Hallelujah, the song we just played a few minutes ago, with country artist Jelly Roll. And he responded to that pushback. He's got his reasons and his response, and we will talk about that together, see what we think of it in just a few minutes.
We came to worship. Women in Ministry. Come train for leadership while worshiping and connecting with Christian women from all across the country. The Call Conference, Saturday, April 12th at Moody Bible Institute's downtown Chicago campus or by live stream. Whether for your current ministry or preparing for future ministry, you are being called. And the Called Conference will encourage you through keynote speakers and 17 practical workshops by experienced professors and practitioners. Registration is now open. Sign up at moodyconferences.com/called.
Another Walkworthy has come and gone, and
it was absolutely awesome.
More than 1,200 men joined together in Canton and online to be encouraged and challenged.
I just love the messages that were brought out and how profound they were. Also with the music.
It was an event that inspired, and that will be remembered.
That moment that I've been wanting them to experience, when that came true, it was one of the most amazing things.
Thank you for your support of Walkworthy. Brought to you by your family at Moody Radio Cleveland.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
For your spirit, soul, and body, it's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland. Hope that you're finally getting oriented after our clocks changed. I'm still a bit disoriented.
Give me 6 months and then I'll have adjusted.
Isn't that the truth? But that, by the way, was Kirk Franklin, known for his many collaborations, as Ron reminded me during that song, with many non-Christian artists.
Yep.
And those always get us a little wound up in the Christian faith. And the recent version of that would be one Brandon Lake. We played one of his songs a few minutes ago, Hard Fought Hallelujah. There's two versions of the song. We played the one with just him. There's another one you'll hear that is a duet with Jelly Roll. Not a donut, but a actual person who is a country artist with a checkered past, but he says he's renewed his faith in Christ. Okay? And so Brandon Lake's gotten some heat for this. During a recent interview, Brandon Lake was responding to the heat he's received from Christians. He defended his collaboration with Jelly Roll. He said, I don't know what Bible somebody's reading that would hate on the collaboration like this. He continued, if you look at Jesus' life, look who he spent time with. Even the 12 he called were jacked up, he said. You know? I said it all like old guy. Anyway, he said, my favorite thing I hear is when people go, but then he told him to go and sin no more. And I'm just like, you quit sinning, Susan? Jelly Roll chimed in, when he told you to quit, so you've never sinned again, Susan? Like, poor Susan.
Yeah,
you know?
she's really getting it there.
But it would have been Karen. But
Maybe
essentially, what do you make of his theological point here?
He's not wrong. And I also don't think people that are, I don't think you should be up in arms about it. But I think people are like, hey, what's going on? I don't think they're wrong either.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite versions of there's a Christmas song by it's totally gone now. Some famous, no, it's my favorite version of How Great Thou Art is by Carrie Underwood at the Country Music Awards.
Okay.
Love it. It's the best one out there. What, am I supposed to hate it because she's not a Christian artist? And it was at a Country Music Award? Like, there seems to be some wiggle room here. And they're all just saying, listen, calm down, sinners. Leave him alone. He's a sinner. Calm down. And Daria's like, slow your roll, Jelly Roll.
Yeah, does it have to be a Christian, an artist who performs in the CCM genre or the greater Christian genre? Or can it be a Christian who happens to perform in what's considered a secular genre?
Okay, so you're saying it would have been better for Brandon to go play on Jelly Roll's album than vice versa?
Yeah, and
almost like an evangelist headed over to hang out with the country folks for a while.
Right.
I get it.
Especially if Jelly Roll is not truly a believer. I'm not keen on CCM promoting unsaved individuals to present the gospel, you know.
Although I would say I have no reason to doubt that Jelly Roll's recommitted his life to Christ. It seems very clear he's done so.
Sounds like he has. I personally don't have a problem with secular artists and Christian artists collaborating, because there are a lot of artists that, even though they're in a secular format, they seem to be living their life for Christ. And I think Carrie Underwood is one of them. She actually has a full gospel album.
And now, when you continue on in the same interview where Brandon Lake was defending his decision, Jelly Roll jumped in. He was emotional, and he said that when he and Brandon Lake started talking, Lake treated him in a way that he wished the church would have. He said, Brandon Lake said to me on the phone everything that I wish the church would have. The way he made me feel is like, man, if I felt this way on Sunday when I went to a couple of churches, God knows where my journey would be right now. Maybe the thing is that if people weren't still mad at me for not being where they think I should be, maybe I'd already be there. And then he was asked by the interviewer, what have churches gotten wrong? And he had a one-word answer: patience. Now what say us? We do this.
I think there's a degree of truth to that. And I was eager when you started to read the question. I thought, wow, I want to hear what he has to say. patience is something that we're not always good at. That somebody comes to Christ, and especially if they're farther along in life, you come to Christ in your teens, you haven't developed habits of, there's selfishness and things like that, but drug addictions and crime and some of the other things that may have developed in his life. Now, it's going to take a while to break those cycles.
Well, yeah, it's that old phrase of we often expect people to behave before they believe.
Mm-hmm.
But truly it becomes you believe and then you learn how to behave and you conform your life to Christ over time. You haven't said much, so what are you doing over there, Lauren?
I'm just really not that worried about it.
Tell me more.
I don't think we are in a place to judge whether someone is on the right terms with God, especially someone you have absolutely no relationship with. So I would say if we trust that Brandon has a good relationship with God, we love all of his music, we love all that he does, trust that he's listening to the Spirit and making his decisions about his Christian music. And if he thought the Jelly Roll really had some issues that shouldn't be out there for other people to listen to on his Christian album, he would not do that. I just think we like to get up in arms about a lot of stuff that we really don't need to.
It's like we're looking for something to be mad at sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do need to be cautious who we platform, right? As a church?
Yes. And a lot of times we platform people who are actually very wicked and evil.
Good
and
point.
So it's like one song. I don't know. I'm just really not that worried about it. And that's why I haven't had much to say, because I just don't have many feelings about it. But we do have a lot of texts from listeners that I can read.
Before we get to that, I have to say people have to check out the live stream because your nonverbals are my favorite. I almost shriveled up and died when after I asked you a question for the audience,
Yes.
essentially. And it's like you annihilated me with your stare. Because you made a great point. You were like, wow, if we're worried about who we're platforming, why are we looking at Jelly Roll?
Yes.
We got a lot of other people that we're platforming. We have no problem with their bad behavior.
Yes.
Very good. Good point.
And we have a lot of people in our churches that have a, what did you call it? Checkered past.
Oh, yeah.
Whether that's from like their childhood or into adulthood, and we still are called to come alongside of them in the church, and they're our brothers and sisters.
That's
Just
right.
because it takes them a little bit longer to break patterns from their life that they had before Christ doesn't mean that they're any less Christian than the rest of us. Our patterns are just maybe a little bit more wicked because they're hidden.
Preach it, sister.
We don't, ours don't live out in the open. We're with people who have been in prison or have addictions in the past. Theirs is a little bit more out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Ours are just sneaky and hidden. So I just don't really have that much of a problem with it.
Are there people with you on this?
I think so. Sarah said, I actually just listened to his album the whole way through twice yesterday. I found it to be very honest. It's about hope and redemption, along with the struggle we continue to face as humans, including tackling the topic of addiction.
That's Jelly Roll's album or Brandon's?
Yeah, Jelly Rolls, I think.
Well, it could have been Brandon's, though. Who knows?
Who knows? Someone said, I'm okay with the collaboration because Jelly Roll sang Brandon Lake's Christian song. If Brandon Lake sang a secular song with a secular artist, that'd be a little bit harder for me.
To me, it would depend on the song.
Yeah.
There's a lot of secular songs that are actually beautiful and thought-provoking, and they're redemptive. And there's others that are vile and disgusting. And
Yeah,
so,
I don't think Christian artists need to box themselves in and only sing about Jesus. As long as you're not singing a song that's explicitly anti-Jesus, I think let them, spread their wings a little bit if that's what they want.
A first-time texter, which is always exciting,
Ooh,
said,
fun.
Paul was literally murdering Christians when he was called. Beauty about music is if you don't like it or feel convicted, don't listen. What's worse, a self-confessed sinner or a megachurch preacher that's a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Yes.
Why have you waited so long to send us text messages? That was great. Whoever you are, tell us your name. That's fantastic. That's a good point. And we often forget about things like that. Any other ones you want to share?
I feel like if we can listen to non-Christian artists sing Christmas songs when we claim that they aren't Christians, then we should be able to sing to them when they collaborate with a Christian artist.
Yeah. I hope Jelly Roll hears this. He'd be encouraged, I think.
I don't think Jelly Roll's listening to this.
Probably not.
How do you know?
If you know Jelly Roll, send him this audio.
I think he lives in Nashville.
Forward the video. It's all over YouTube, Lauren.
Forward the video.
He can watch you, like, stab me with your eyes.
I did not.
It was awesome. I love your passion. Sometimes we have to get passionate about things like this. I think it's
there's
important.
just like so much other things to worry about and so many other things in your own life to like fine tune and tweak and to get in line with Jesus that let's worry about those instead.
There is something ironic about you getting passionate about people being too passionate. Which is great. I like that. It's 7:48. Time for a quick break. When we come back, there's actually some movie news I want to share with you. A couple things I'm excited about. One of them might surprise you when it comes to what movie has some Christian elements.
Hi, I'm Charlie Dyer of The Land and the Book. When I visit what remains of the temple in Jerusalem, I'm reminded of the seriousness of sin. That's why I'd love for you to have a copy of the new book, Killing Sin, A Strategy for Winning. It's our thank you as you support us with your pre-share gift. It's so important that we start Share Well, and your gift now will help us do that, empowering us to share the simple gospel that changes everything.
Donate today at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
From Moody Publishers, a book designed to grow your faith, to really authentically grow your faith. In Fake Christianity, Jed Coppinger exposes the hidden traps of hypocrisy, prayerlessness, neglecting the Bible, gossip, and bitterness. Then, with a pastoral heart, Coppinger takes you through the teachings of Jesus, showing how to overcome inauthenticity and grow in true discipleship. Is it time to finally get serious about following Jesus? Fake Christianity is available right now at moodybooks.org.
Did you know the average American owns 6 or more pairs of shoes? But today, there are millions of children throughout the world who lack access to shoes altogether. Because of that, they won't be able to attend school, and they risk illness and disease. This spring, Buckner International and Moody Radio are partnering with you to provide new shoes and socks to some of the world's most vulnerable children. We've identified 42,000 kids who need shoes right now. You can meet this dire need for a child, providing health, offering dignity, and expressing the love of Christ by donating new shoes today. Give today at GiveShoesNow.com and change the life of a child forever. Dignity and hope may be only a pair of shoes away for a child in need. Will you join us to give new shoes and socks and share the love of Jesus with these kids? Right now, 42,000 children are waiting for someone like you and me to provide the gift of new shoes. Give today at GiveShoesNow.com.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
We've got some movie news. I'm very excited about Daria loves a good movie.
I do.
And I'm excited because there's a new TV series on Disney Plus. I've been watching the new Daredevil. Ooh.
Oh, my. I've seen ads for it, but I want to wait until it's all dropped.
So you can binge watch it?
Yeah.
Because that's healthy?
I hate waiting week to week.
So true.
There's going to be a follow-up series to Andor from Disney Plus, too.
Remember when we had to wait from week to week, and then you had to wait through like 5 minutes of commercials?
Oh, like 400 years.
We're so
commercials,
spoiled
yeah.
now.
The commercials when you run to the bathroom and have your family
Pitch
say,
popcorn.
tell me when it's back on.
Right.
And then you hear from across
change
the
the
house,
channel.
it's on!
Oh, yeah.
And then you run in to try to make it before.
Yeah, no, there's none of that anymore. But I got a couple of movies I wanted to chat about with you guys. The first one, it's sort of a movie. The first one is a new series from Disney's Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Love Pixar.
And they have a animated series called Win or Lose that is in the universe of Inside Out.
Okay.
Never
So there's
watched it.
emotions in it?
Loved both Inside Out.
Mhm.
What happened to her? Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was
Don't
like,
silence Daria.
Am I here now?
she's overwhelmed.
You're back.
You loved
She
Inside
was like,
Out.
I'm
Yeah,
in the
I
clouds.
loved both of them.
What's the premise again of Inside Out for those who don't know?
So it is, there's a girl named Riley, and she's going through the various changes that come with growing up. And so her emotions inside her head and the things that she's going through are personified. And so the emotions go through this adventure, and you see how things are affecting Riley in the real world outside of her head.
Disgust is my favorite emotion from Inside
So
Out.
funny.
Well, they're going to introduce some new ones, I think, here, some new emotions and feelings. And so this series is in the world of Inside Out, and it follows a middle school softball team, the Pickles, which is a great name to begin with, in the week leading up to their championship game. And each episode highlights a different player's inner world. Like one of the players, it's an episode called Coach's Kid. I forget her name. But she's feeling very, she got a lot of self-doubt. And so
it's like she's up to bat and she has this big giant blob that is self-doubt upon her.
Oh,
and it's like a perfect visual depiction of self-doubt.
Yeah.
It looks like
He
a
looks scared.
very sad Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're on our live stream, I'm holding it up so you can see it. But the really unique thing about this particular character is that they're a Christian.
Self-doubt?
No, that
Oh,
the kid.
The
kid's a
kid.
Christian.
Oh. I was like, the emotion is a Christian?
no, the kid.
We all wrestle with doubt. It's part of the Christian experience.
The kid's name is Lori.
Oh, classic.
And before the big game, she takes a quiet moment to pray.
Oh,
And
wow.
in the episode, here's the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, please give me strength. I have faith, but sometimes the doubt creeps in. And later, a cutout of an angel is spotted in her bedroom, subtly reinforcing that her faith is an actual part of who she is, not just a throwaway detail.
Oh my gosh. Love to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember the last time there was an explicitly Christian character in media that wasn't like the butt of every joke.
Yeah, it wasn't like derpy or like the scary one, like they're doing scary stuff.
Or we hate everything and everyone.
Hit pause, because since we're talking about movies, this is the second time I've seen this word, derpy.
Derpy.
What's happening? Not drippy, derpy.
Yeah, just kind of like
Slow.
Goofy?
Yeah, goofy.
Ron, did you know about derpy?
No, but as she said it, I understood.
Context
dopey,
clues?
like
Yeah.
from Snow Wives.
I like derpy.
Snow Wives.
Dur.
It's Snow White. Sister Wives. Snow Wives.
I like the word derpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
It
going to
seems
use it all
nicer.
the time
like
now,
a
aren't
little-
you?
It seems nicer than dopey. I might use it a lot. It seems nicer than dopey.
Maybe.
And anyway, it's one of the first Christian characters they've really done like this, and it's taking it seriously. And so I don't know. There's Christians who hate Disney. I don't know what they're going to do. Their heads will explode. It seems like a nice depiction of it. We'll have to have Daria watch this and see what she thinks
how it
of
goes.
Sure.
The other one is going to require some music. See if you can guess what I'm going to talk about based on the music.
I already know what you're going to talk about, so I don't have to guess.
It's on the paper in front of me.
So
But I,
The Goonies.
The Goonies. This defined my childhood in many respects. We had the VHS
is this
tape.
John Williams? Did he do
You
the
know,
soundtrack?
John Williams is the best.
I don't know.
I'm looking it up. I know it was Spielberg, who's someone else that
It
I
could have
absolutely
been
love.
because of the Spielberg part. So the Goonies, I was shocked as an adult to find out how much profanity was in it, especially in the
When
opening
you watch
scene.
back, sure.
Like my mom actually encouraged her cousin, who has kids a little bit younger than my brother and I, to get this for the sleepover that they were having. And her mom ran in and turned it off after the first few minutes. You don't remember those parts when you were
No,
a kid.
you don't.
No.
They kind of go over your head.
Chester Copperpot and One-Eyed Willie and Mama Fratelli. Oh, she was so scary. Remember? And that the opening scene in the black SUV. Jake, up! He's getting shot. They get in the thing.
Yep.
And the hey, you guys. Sloth is the best.
Sloth is the
Yeah,
best.
but he's kind of scary at first.
He is, but yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, he was so scary at first. Remember through the doors of the they could see him in the dungeon or whatever.
So are they remaking the movie, or is it
you
like a
guys,
sequel?
The rumors are finally gonna become a reality. Part 2.
Okay.
Don't do that.
So it's like the same children.
I'm just
grown up, or is it
their kids?
Their kids.
Or just random kids.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus are producing it.
Spielberg, I love you, but you got to quit while you're ahead.
And
we don't need sequels for everything.
Chris Columbus has done all the Christmas movies.
The writer is Patsy Pincronali. Never heard of you, Patsy. Literally, P-O-T-S-Y is the name.
From Happy Days?
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. They don't have any details out yet about the storyline or who's going to be in it. But apparently, not only has Oscar winner Ki Hu Kwan said he'd do it. Data, slick shoes, love that kid. Also, no surprise, Corey Feldman's in.
Oh yeah. Now
He
is
might have to
this one of
cancel
those?
his tour, but-
Is this one of those fake ones?
No,
they're
no, this is
oh,
real.
Rumors are true. It's coming back, and there's like an AI poster of it.
No, you know that's traumatic for me
It
because
is,
I've
that's
been
why I'm
tricked so many
asking.
times. Yes, no, but this has been Warner Brothers has confirmed
Okay.
that this is going to happen.
Well, I've been fooled about Princess Diaries 3, so
This is way more important.
3 granddads and a baby.
that's a big thing that you just said.
Yeah.
It is not more
Are you
important
trying
than
to
Princess
tell me
Diaries 3.
that Princess Diaries 3
Correct.
would be more seismic than Goonies 2?
Yes, absolutely. Anne Hathaway?
How could a third be more important than a second? I mean, just
'Cause
numerically.
We've already had 2 that are
Numerically, 2 is higher.
No. What?
When you're
Did
counting
you?
down,
That is new levels of bad at math, Brian.
when you're counting down,
Brian
2
can't count.
is higher.
Oh, it's not.
When you're counting down, it is.
Numerically,
lower.
2 is higher than 3.
On the charts, would you rather be number 1 or number 2?
That's right. Thank you. Ron Eastwood having my
I get
back.
I get you, old school.
Oh my gosh.
Goonies, come on.
I know, it's very exciting.
Chester Copperpot. Chunk, do the truffle shuffle.
Sometimes in my brain, I get that one and The Sandlot mixed up. Like I kind of blend the two.
Because they're both so great. Could
Maybe.
be.
It's like a bunch of children doing stuff.
Yeah, although I never really liked Mikey. It was a little too intense for me. Calm down, Mikey. Leave Thanos alone. You know? You tied up Thanos in the... Who's that actor that played Thanos again?
I can't remember his name.
Josh
Brolin.
Yeah.
I hope they all come back. I'm so excited, you guys.
But seeing adults do the things that like the children did is not.
I was
That's
like
cute. That's
Mikey's
weird.
age. I was like their age. I wanted to be in the Goonies.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to...
And I wanted to be a princess, so...
There you go.
I saw a funny meme the other day where it was real footage of my wife agreeing to marry me, and it was Chunk talking to Sloth at the end, going, "You're gonna live with me now. I'm gonna take care of you." And he goes, and I sent it to you,
Yeah,
Lauren.
you
I
did.
think like this is actually true about me.
Yeah.
All right, it's 8:03. We got to get to Ron's news. I'm so excited. I forgot what we're doing next.
Doesn't know what time it is. Doesn't know math.
Oh, this next one, we're going to find out why we should not be concerned about Lauren talking to herself all the time and at the radio
Finally.
station. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
An investigation is underway after Secret Service agents shot a man near the White House in the early hours of Monday morning. It's 8:04. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. An agency spokesperson says that agents confronted the armed suspect shortly after midnight about a block from the West Wing. The man allegedly pulled out a gun before being shot and was taken to a hospital in unknown condition. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose is encouraging residents to become poll workers for the May 6th primary election. Those who sign up will receive training and compensation, and some employers do offer paid time off as well through the Give a Day for Democracy initiative. And Shell is reportedly considering the sale of several of its chemical plants, including its cracker plant in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. The Beaver County plant began operating 3 years ago and cost $14 billion to build. The facility received a $10 million fine by the State Department of Environmental Quality for air quality violations within the first year of operation. In sports, the Cavs gutted the Bucks 112-100. The Blue Jackets crushed the Rangers 7-3, and the Penguins tamed the Wild 3-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast: sunny and warmer with highs in the lower 60s. At last check, we had clear skies, 40 degrees in Cleveland, Akron and Canton 34, Lorain, Elyria 39.
It's time for your moron moment.
March 10th is National Napping Day, and it's the perfect day to help you recover from the spring forward of daylight saving time. Napping is actually scientifically proven to be better for you than coffee or energy drinks. You may have lost that extra hour in the day, but you feel like you've caught up some sleep by celebrating the day with a nap. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It is 8:06. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio, it's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
810 WCRF, Moody Radio Cleveland, a mutual colleague of ours. His name is Dan Fleming, great guy. Love him. When our friend Lauren first got the job here in Cleveland, before she even moved here, Lauren Cuevas, of course, managing producer of the show, Dan said to me, "Oh, Brian, don't be alarmed. She talks to herself loudly and frequently."
And a verdict?
It's true, you do.
Yeah.
I will frequently hear her from like down the hall and I'll shout back, "Were you trying to get my attention? You need something?" She's like, "No, just talking to myself." No.
Yeah.
Very rare for me to talk to you, actually. It's mostly myself.
Now, you don't seem to have any level of self-consciousness about this.
No.
Why not?
I'm just processing information. I'm working. I'm being productive.
What
So why
kinds
does
of
it matter?
things are you saying aloud to yourself?
If I get a strange email like, "What is this? What do you mean? Why did you send this to me?"
So you're talking to them sometimes.
To the email.
Yeah.
Correct. Or, am I okay? If I'm like really struggling to do something.
That's one of my favorite phrases you use.
Off
Are you okay? Am I okay?
Off the air earlier, I think you said, "Am I dumb?" or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Am I dumb?
It was like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Like if I'm really struggling to do something. Yeah, talk to my emails. Like, what am I doing? What did I click on? Why did I do this? What am I doing again?
Hello, I know how to do my job.
Yeah, exactly.
do the rest of you do this as well, or is it just a Lauren problem?
I do.
I do. I'm just a lot quieter. So like I talk to myself under my breath.
What are you saying to yourself?
Good
morning, Daria.
I'll sometimes narrate what I'm doing just to if I'm like having trouble getting something done, like, okay, I'm going to go do this and now I need to do this and now I'm going to click on this and move this over here, that kind of thing.
Okay. Ron?
Similar. Sometimes it's more negative, like, "You idiot. What were you thinking?"
Yeah, I think I do it gently, but I call myself a big dummy a lot. Like, just, "What are you doing, you big dummy? Stop that." It's a term of endearment for myself.
I will routinely tell myself to get it together.
Oh, absolutely. Like, what's going on here?
Am I okay?
Am I okay?
So a guy at Psychology Today says there's a bunch of benefits to talking to yourself a lot. We're not weird. It's
Thank
good.
you.
In fact, he starts it off, he says, "As a child, I realized that one person I enjoyed talking to was myself."
That's exactly right.
I'd sit by myself for hours with my toys, like verbalizing everything.
Oh, yeah. Heather texted in and said, "My brother does that. He says it's the only way to have an intelligent conversation."
Well, that's a good way. You got to borrow that. What are you doing in there, Lauren? Having the only intelligent conversation I can find right now. That's pretty good. So he says that there's good purposes for this psychologically.
Well, what are they?
One of them, it gives you guidance during complex activities. Like,
Yeah,
for example,
like answering my emails.
Assembling an IKEA piece of furniture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a lot of self-talk there.
This little cartoon man is doing what? What is he doing? With the flurfinator?
Yeah. Why would I do that? Where does this go? A goes to the X pole.
I actually like going to IKEA just to loudly say the names of the things to my wife.
Yeah.
Did you get the flutternutter for the Fliegendogger?
I know.
We need one more Flugadoogoo.
Why do they use those little wooden pegs so much?
I hate those.
I
They
don't
love
want
them.
those.
They love them.
If they
love
break
them
off,
too.
I'm stuck. I
Exactly.
can get a new screw.
Yeah.
And so, I'd be going, okay, I need 6 more Peggy things.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my little pegs.
For the
and I got my-
wingdinger,
And I got my little these right here. Got my Allen wrench over here.
So we're actually smart doing that.
Okay.
It helps. It's good for you to do that. Another reason it's good for yourself is it takes time to process disquieting or novel experiences. Like people traveling alone or engaging in activities such as hiking find that talking aloud to themselves in novel environments makes these environments more understandable.
Oh, I'm not talking out loud to myself in nature like that.
So it's
On a
weird to
hike?
talk to yourself when no one's around.
Yes.
But it's totally fine to talk to yourself
Yes.
when your coworkers can hear you. Got it.
Correct.
So you're trying to be overheard.
No.
I don't understand that.
I don't think about, people can hear me right now.
Well,
But
then
you're
what-
thinking about people can't hear me because you're not going to talk to yourself while you're by yourself.
Right.
Well, there's scary people in the forest when you're on a hike by yourself. I don't want them to know I'm there. I don't want to be found out. I'm on a hike.
And you haven't claimed that your habit's logical.
No, of course not.
Okay. Because I've had those times, like there's, I live near Nelson's Ledges, which is this beautiful park, state park. that there's some of the places when you get to them, it's like you just go, wow, look at this rock formation. This is amazing.
You know what I think it is my life is so loud. There's so much going on in my space all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to myself like actually helps me get my thought like through my brain instead of like I can't actually think because there's so much happening. If I'm out in nature and I'm by myself, I can actually think.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But for me to say it out loud is I'm actually have been able to process what's happening.
So it's a processing technique.
I think so.
So you'll be thinking to yourself, wow, this is a beautiful tree, as opposed to exclaiming out loud.
Yes.
Huh.
Because if I'm by myself and no one's bothering me, I don't need to talk out loud to process.
I think psychologists should study you.
Okay. I had a similar experience recently. So Jimmy and I we were discussing something. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like talking myself through this thing that we were talking about. I was trying to understand. He's like responding to me. I'm like, no, I need you to not, because I'm trying to.
You hush.
I'm trying. My brain is fried and I'm
Yes.
trying to make sense of something. And you're not in this conversation right now.
This is an AA conversation, okay?
Now, Lauren, what does your husband Eddie make of your habit? Do you do this at home?
Oh, yeah. Worse than here.
So how does he know when you're talking to him?
Not sure.
Has he stopped responding?
Sometimes.
So do you need to like get like,
Yeah.
hey Eddie, I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
Does he enjoy it? Is he neutral
He's
about
never
it?
said anything about it, so
It must be something he likes about you.
maybe.
I mean, it
at
happens often enough. He better like
And
it.
at home, it's more sing-songy than it is here. So,
Aw, that's cute.
Oh, I'm a sing-songer.
So this is hard because I know you don't do anything on command, but I don't know exactly what you mean by that. And
Yes,
I'm being
you do.
sincere. Like, I don't like what I'm doing right
Yes,
now.
exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you're just being a little more gentle with yourself as you're processing. I don't know what's wrong with the sink.
Or like, why is everyone shouting at me?
And you turn it into a song.
Yes.
Okay. Another reason it's good for you to talk to yourself is it helps you process past events. After frustrating circumstances, such as awkward social interactions or a disappointing academic performance, you want to chat through that with yourself. I've had, constant replays of me saying silly things.
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Where I'll like replay it 18 times in a row.
400 times, yeah.
To just find the very best thing I could have said.
Peter asked, does this only apply to talking out loud or internal conversations too? Does it say?
The article is about talking to yourself
Out loud. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all have internal dialogue.
Yeah. And a lot of it is the same goal, to process.
And then it promotes self-distancing.
What does that mean?
So talking to ourselves out loud using the pronoun you, or better yet, your name, promotes self-distancing, which then enhances your ability to regulate your thoughts, feelings, and behavior.
I was like, Lauren, you dummy.
Yeah.
Like that? Which I do that all the time.
I don't understand the self-distancing though. Like how can you distance yourself from yourself when you are yourself?
It enables you to better observe the self we're talking about and then to act on those observations. It's like you're stepping outside of yourself and going, hello, Brian. Why are you doing this? You've done it again. You've got to stop this, Brian. And I go, oh, okay. Thanks, Brian.
Sue said, when you talk to yourself, you get the best answers.
So we should do it more.
Not a problem for me.
In fact, I think you should start using that phrase. Is it Tolkien? The methinks?
Methinks. Yeah, it's a good one.
See, maybe you'll start adopting that.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk to ourselves. And when we come back in a few minutes, we've got more to talk about. In fact, there's a group of Gen Z Christians who are like embracing their inner Martin Luther and literally marching around and pounding 95 Theses onto doors of churches.
Wow.
We'll explain what they're doing and why in just a minute.
We'd love to invite you to visit Moody's campus in the heart of downtown Chicago for Experience Moody, our campus visit day, March 28th, April 25th, or May 2nd. You'll experience life as a Moody student by attending class, meeting with students and advisors, and exploring our world-class city. We're excited to welcome you to learn more about whether Moody is right for you or your student. Register for Experience Moody at moody.edu/Experience Moody.
Another Walkworthy has come and gone, and
it was absolutely awesome.
More than 1,200 men joined together in Canton and online to be encouraged and challenged.
I just loved the messages that were brought out and how profound they were. also with the music.
It was an event that inspired, and that will be remembered.
That moment that I've been wanting them to experience, when that came true, it was one of the most amazing things.
Thank you for your support of Walk Worthy. Brought to you by your family at Moody Radio Cleveland.
Charles Spurgeon said, I will not believe that thou hast tasted of the honey of the gospel if thou can eat it all to thyself. Chris Fabry here, and at Moody Radio, we believe the gospel changes everything. That's why we're so passionate about sharing it every day. Your pre-share gift will help us launch into a new season of sharing Christ.
And if you'd like to give a pre-share gift, you could do so at moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Click on Share.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
This is WCRF Mornings with Brian, 824. There's a group of Gen Zers who are trying to reform mainline Protestant churches, and they're kind of embracing an old method. And to get us there, I want to know how much you guys have heard about the trend among Gen Z young men in particular who are being influenced by what's called on YouTube the manosphere.
No, I haven't heard that.
I think I know where you're going with this.
So it's a highly online movement that's capturing the imagination of young conservative men. And I've talked to some pastors locally who see it infecting young men in their church.
Oh, this is like the Andrew Tate stuff, isn't it?
See, I wish I knew all the names to confirm or deny that. I'm trying to avoid it, so I don't know. But there's young men who are following YouTubers who are encouraging them to be like chauvinist.
Yes.
Some sort of odd archetype of manhood.
Yes, you have the trad wives, which are, completely fictionalized version of what women in the 50s were. And then you have, on the opposite of the spectrum, you have men who are really embracing toxic masculinity.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, I'll show you toxic masculinity. It's biblical, is what they'll claim. And they'll use verses and stuff, and they're on their YouTube channel smoking their cigars, drinking their whiskey, yelling at people and saying, it's women, be quiet, and men, I'm not doing a terrible caricature because I haven't watched it.
Bring me a sandwich.
And it's really become a problem. Like, again, I've talked to local pastors who are like, these men are missing the mark on manhood. And because it's, I think, partially a consequence of our society messing so much with the lines of gender and being so harsh on men that a lot of men are disoriented.
Yeah.
They don't know what manhood is, right?
Yeah, because things are so blurry, both genders have swung way too far in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Amen. And now Russell Moore ended up interviewing a guy that he was concerned might be kind of part of this manosphere. But in the end, he's like, maybe not. And it's a guy named Jake Boston who runs a grassroots group called Operation Reconquista. You laughed right away. Why?
It's just funny.
It is kind of funny. So here's how Russell dramatically describes this. It's October 31st in Denver. Snow is falling. A cutting wind makes the air feel much colder than it is. But nothing will stop Jake Boston.
Sorry, they did it on actual Reformation Day, October 31st?
Yes.
Okay.
A Gen Z Episcopalian. Nothing will stop him from celebrating the holiday. No, not Halloween, Reformation Day. When Protestants remember Martin Luther's courageous choice to put the 95 Theses critiquing the Catholic Church and launching the Reformation, Jake is reenacting that old story by tramping through the Colorado snow from mainline church to mainline church, 60 in total. To post
Churches are not close like they used to be in Luther's day.
Right.
Not
I hope he's
walkable.
driving a little bit. I hope. And he's posting his own theses on their doors.
Oh, my.
Is he nailing them? Because that's vandalism.
I think it's probably like painter's
Does
tape
he
or something,
laminate the
Jim.
paper if it's winter or they're going to get wet?
You guys are asking a lot of questions I don't have answers to here. So the list, tailored to the 7 American mainline denominations,
Okay.
critique their drift from orthodoxy into theological liberalism, challenging them to reaffirm the resurrection, the divinity of Jesus, the authority of the Bible, and much more besides. That was I kind of like that.
Well, I'm glad he's doing something. If he has a conviction about it, and he's
Yes.
not being mean, so it seems so far.
Oh, I'm sorry, him? He's not alone.
Okay.
There's a group of 1,000 Gen Z mainliners who committed to their historic denominations,
And mainline Protestant meaning?
like Lutheran, Methodist, Episcopalian,
Presbyterian.
Yeah, I don't know all 7. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's those, right? These 1,000 people joined him, and their goal was in Operation Reconquista. This is part of it. They said they were going to post these on Reformation Day on every door of every mainline Protestant church in America, and they claim they did it.
Only 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Well, but he did 60.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's still 60,000. I think he's coming up a little short.
Now, how do you feel so far about this?
I feel fine.
I think a conversation would be a bit more productive.
Amen, sister. I think this showy, hey, media, come out and watch me do this thing.
It's very self-aggrandizing. I'm going to tramp through the snow, go to 60 churches, walk in Martin Luther's footsteps when nowadays we have phones.
Right.
Now, in their defense, they may say to you, oh, yeah, Daria, you all have been talking to mainline Protestants for generations about their theological drift, and they're not listening.
I don't know that people are, though.
Right.
I have heard of very few people that are taking actionable steps to correct issues that we see in the church.
We write articles about them and then post it in our own magazines.
I mean, there's theological drift.
Yeah.
Like bad. I mean, there's mainline Protestants who have people denying the virgin birth and like crazy stuff.
I have met some that will deny the deity of Christ and still claim to be Christian.
And yet, part of the idea here is that progressive mainliners, they like to claim that the best way to bring in young people to the church is to be liberal. And Operation Reconquista is saying, it's so weird saying that out They're like, no, wrong. They're saying that unchurched Gen Zers don't need to go to a stodgy sanctuary to learn how to fly a rainbow flag. They can get that anywhere without giving up Sunday mornings. To attract young people, and especially young men, the church must point Gen Z towards a divinely inspired, ancient purpose the secular world can't offer, living for Jesus.
They're not wrong.
Okay, tell me more about that, because other people are like, wait, what? They want ancient stuff?
I mean, Gen Z wants authenticity, and I think there are a lot of churches, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, have kind of softened theology to try to appeal to a younger demographic, when that's not necessarily what we want. And more importantly than that, you should not soften biblical truths regardless of your intent behind it.
Yeah, Russell Moore wondered, he said, Gen X was cynical about institutions. Millennials deconstructed them. Gen Z may be the first generation to turn the tide, to renew, reform, and recover what past generations built.
I've got two thoughts along these lines. First of all, instead of doing the relatively anonymous media event of posting, make a connection with the pastor. You know, if you want to make all 7 mainline pastors in your town connections with them, that's fine. But at least one, and befriend him and talk and find out, you know, with curiosity, what do you believe and why do you believe it? And then share why you believe something different and how you're both using the Bible as your text on this. So how can you believe so differently? And go in gently, trying to recover a brother, rather than like, here I am, I'm angry and I'm posting this, but you'll never know because you're not home. You're not here today.
Now, they would say, oh, brave Sir Ronald, you've characterized us incorrectly. Their goal is to be characterized by love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. They're not angry. They're not making fun of people, and they actually incredibly discourage threatening or intimidation or name-calling or any of that. They don't want to do any of that.
You wouldn't know they're not angry because they post it and run.
Yeah, no,
Ding dong ditch.
You can't be known by the fruits of the Spirit when you don't put a face to yourself or your organization.
Now, cynical me says, let's say I make an appointment with the theologically liberal pastor of the church to tell him his theology is wrong. Not going to work.
No, you shouldn't just start off with that.
But talking to somebody, like, no one is going to sit me down and convince me that my theology is too conservative. You follow what I mean? Like, we can say, yes, talking it out is going to help, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, here's where we come back around to the patience that we found from Jelly Roll.
What's that? Patience? What?
Where it's your goal shouldn't be, I want to have one lunch with this pastor and I'm going to convert him over to my viewpoints on all things. No, your goal is to make a friend, and you start with opening up about what he believes and understanding him.
Sure.
Before you get worried about telling him your point of view. And then it may take years, but first you have to know that he knows you love him and trust him, and that he can trust you. If you're so obvious about trying to change him, he's going to put up walls and be like, okay, he'll characterize you as just another angry conservative.
So now, Lauren, we have to get to a break here real quick. Sorry, Daria, but is this just like Jelly Roll for you? You're just not all that concerned about it?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of.
So you feel neutral about their decision? Operation Reconquista. You're not going to join in?
I don't know them. I probably won't join in, but it's probably for other reasons. I just don't.
You have little kids. You're busy.
Want to go drive around.
You're talking to yourself.
Walk around. Yeah, I'm talking
She's
to myself.
Woman.
I don't have any feelings of like they shouldn't be doing this. I think it's okay. I think
you're like, you do
if their mission is so big, so it seems that they wanted to reach every mainline church. There's no way you're going to do that by going to talk to everybody and building relationships with everybody. If they wanted to put a message out that was going to actually get to them, other than like just posting about it on social media or something or creating some blog, it's actually going to get to them. They actually did something. They did take something to somebody, and they know it's going to get to them. And if we're okay with Martin Luther doing it, why can't these guys do it?
She's spicing things up again. Lauren Cuevas, managing producer. We got to take a break. It's 8:35. Perhaps Friday we'll revisit this for Follow-Up Friday. But for now, coming up in just a couple of minutes, there's a brand new apologetic. It's not really new, but it's something we don't think about much. I'm going to share it with you in a few minutes.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you. They encourage you, and it's proven, too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
It's a no negativity zone on Moody Radio Cleveland and Mornings with Brian.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
$8:39, beauty can be an apologetic for Christ and the Christian faith. We'll get to that in just a minute here, but I have two other things I want to cover briefly. One of them is there's a generational divide that I used to feel bad about, and now I just think that we old people are right, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear my phone when I'm playing a video on it. I don't want there to be any like, wait, what was that? Was that, I didn't quite understand that. It was very quiet. My kids look at me in a way. Lauren and Daria look at me in a way when my volume on my phone, when I play a video, is audible.
No, sir. It's so loud in this enclosed room. It's shocking. And it's just like out of nowhere.
And this is work, not your living room.
Got him.
Like,
no.
Listen, if Jimmy wants to play something on his phone loudly at home, I don't care because it's no different than him watching TV, but I hope he's not playing his volume very loud for his coworkers.
Like, I honestly don't know how you young people, I'm going to call
And
it
it's
like
out of
that.
nowhere because
How do you hear it?
I don't.
I have sensitive ears.
My kids do this, and I'm like, I come in the room and they're watching TV, and the number on the volume is like 6.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, excuse me.
I think you guys have just ruined your ears. I can hear things that are very quiet and loud noises bother me.
It's because your headphones are at like 65 right now.
No, I don't want to have to strain to hear. I want there to be unquestionable clarity on what I'm hearing. Ron, what number is your television at for volume when you're comfortable? Go ahead, hit it.
22.
It's pretty quiet, buddy.
What's yours at?
My kids talk constantly.
That's true. It's
28 to 30 if there's people talking.
Right.
30?
I see that.
Bro, mine is at like 12 to 15.
I think 16 is the max I put my TV on.
So when I come in the room and Sarah's listening to the television at like 12 or 15 or whatever, what I like to say is, if we're all very quiet, we might hear what they're saying.
I don't want to be overwhelmed with noise.
Maybe the problem is one, I think you've ruined your hearing, and two,
Maybe
I
have some
don't think you can focus on things enough to hear quieter noises.
Maybe you need to get your ears.
And then you put up the script underneath, the subtitles.
That's what I do, but I also would like to hear it.
You put on subtitles and it's at 33?
Yeah.
Good heavens.
No, because the look you gave me when a video started.
Yes, because I can't see your phone.
Was like I had just stolen a piece of candy from a small baby.
Yes, you did.
Or insulted a woman. Or
You insulted Lauren.
Yes. I can't see your phone, so you are expecting a loud noise all of a sudden. I am not. And it just like blasts.
Well, maybe
all
you
of a
need to
sudden.
be less excitable. How about that?
I don't think so.
I say...
Lauren needs to be less excitable. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I take that back. Xers and boomers unite. Let's keep it loud. Keep it loud. Turn it up. Don't listen when those young people get mad at you for the volume of your phone. In fact, turn it up and laugh.
If it's too loud, you're too young.
Yeah!
When did the roles reverse on this?
Yeah! In our day, we liked it loud.
And you used to complain that we had things too loud, and now it's switched.
Oh, my gosh.
Another thing I wanted to cover briefly, this season is finally over for me. We have birthday season in my family.
Yeah, you got spring, B-days, winter, spring.
From mid-January through the first week of March, we have 5 birthdays in our family. And it's a lot, especially for a guy who's trying to tell you how old his kids are. People ask me, how old are your kids? And I take a deep breath. I go,
what time of year?
You'll look at other people for help.
And I have to decide at what point. I do actually look for you and Lauren. Like,
Yeah.
how
Like
old are
we
my
know.
kids? Like, when is it appropriate to round up for my own sanity?
Totally.
But anyway, I can finally say now, because yesterday was the last birthday of
the season.
Of the season. I now have children who are 19, 18, 17, 13, 11.
You did it.
Right.
Did you hear me pause, though?
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I don't even know how old I am. So.
Like 34?
31. Thank you.
Mid-30s.
No.
Before you know it,
Then
you're
you're
going
in
to
your
be
late 40s.
You're
Exactly.
going to be listening to your phone super loud.
On 700,
You're
right.
just a couple of years away. Just a couple of years away. So did you all know that St. Thomas Aquinas, you want to get all judgy now because you love the church fathers or whatever?
You haven't said anything, so what about him?
He said there's 3 key attributes that define beauty.
Okay.
Okay, first one, integrity. So like a statue without missing limbs would lack integrity and thus has loss of beauty.
Without missing limbs?
With missing limbs.
You said without, I think.
I should turn up my volume so I can
Hear it yourself.
It also has proportion, harmony,
Okay.
and clarity. So beauty has integrity, proportion, and clarity.
Hence turning up the volume so you have clarity.
So what we do, Ron, is beauty.
Yes. We listen beautifully.
Is the show over? I think it is. Are we done? No, we're not
quite.
done. Do you like his definition of beauty?
Being those three things?
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly love it.
Yeah.
And I love it because one of my favorite eras of art is Renaissance art, because it has all of those things: integrity, proportion, and clarity. Modern art, God bless you if you love it. There's nothing wrong with you. I can't stand it because it often doesn't have any of those things. A blank canvas has no integrity, no proportion, no clarity. Like a pile of crushed aluminum cans does not have that either.
Yes.
So actually, did you know that beauty then, I think especially defined like Thomas Aquinas defines it, can be a powerful apologetic for the Christian faith? We're going to see if we agree with Joseph Matera's theory here as a team in just a few minutes.
In the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, Moses had a special message for the Israelites, and now for us. Love God with all our hearts and trust Him always. Your children need this message too. Today in the Word's Family Study will help them understand why it's important to know God's commands and obey them. To download your free copy of this month's Family Study, go to todayintheword.org/family. Spend time in God's Word together. todayintheword.org/family.
Hi, I'm Michael Rydelnik of Open Line. You know, the only reason we can enjoy Open Line or any of your favorite Moody Radio programs is because of the generous support from our listeners. You've heard that Share starts March 11th, but did you know you could help us start stronger with your pre-share gift? We'll say thanks by sending you a copy of the compelling book, Killing Sin. Thanks for helping us get started strong with your pre-share gift.
Visit moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
From Moody Publishers, a book designed to grow your faith, to really authentically grow your faith. In Fake Christianity, Jed Coppinger exposes the hidden traps of hypocrisy, prayerlessness, neglecting the Bible, gossip, and bitterness. Then, with a pastoral heart, Coppinger takes you through the teachings of Jesus, showing how to overcome inauthenticity and grow in true discipleship. Is it time to finally get serious about following Jesus? Fake Christianity is available right now at moodybooks.org.
You can finish your bachelor's degree no matter where you started it. When you earn your Bachelor of Science in Integrated Ministry Studies from Moody Bible Institute, you'll learn to integrate the Bible into whatever field you're in now or choose to pursue after graduation. Transfer up to 90 credits into this full online, flexible, customizable program that will allow you to finish any bachelor's degree and strengthen your ministry skills. Get started today at moody.edu/integrated. That's moody.edu/integrated.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
came.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland. And don't forget today, as you go out throughout your day, if it's too loud, you're too young. That may be Ron's best thing he's ever said. I resemble that remark.
Seriously, though, when did this switch? Because it used to be that old people complained that young people had things too loud, and now it's the other way around.
Yeah, aren't you embarrassed by that?
No, because my ears are going to be protected well into my old age.
Good for you. It's worth listening softly.
Wait.
Be able to.
Don't abandon our team, Ron.
Well, wait. Why do we listen?
She
so
will
loud?
experience mental decline earlier because she's straining to have to hear so much.
Or my mind is sharper because I'm focusing more on my task
No,
at
it's
hand.
worn out. Your mind totally worn
That's
out
not-
from listening.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
It's a muscle.
If
Use
it's
it or
too
lose
loud,
it.
you're too young. Take that.
And you're getting loud, so you're a little too old. Shouting over Daria just to make your point.
That was good. That was good, Lauren. Nice job. Snarky millennial, no surprise. Okay, so there's no way to shift gears. So that was shifting. God's beauty. If you're not a creative, you don't get it. But I think we need to have much more respect for this in the church. Beauty is a powerful apologetic. Beauty in nature, beauty in music, beauty in architecture, I think can point people directly to who God is and his power.
I don't like what you said. If you're not a creative, you don't get it.
Yeah, no, you can.
Why are you being so quiet? Quiet. I'm trying to be loud.
You can still
What?
appreciate
Why don't you like that?
beauty and
Yeah.
all its possible meanings if you're not into creating it.
What I'm talking about is there's folks who are so into the intellectual that they are dismissive of the creative, as in there's no value in spending money on beauty in a church. Make it just a giant box. There's
There's a difference between everything has to be very practical and austere and not creative.
we may have to agree to disagree on this one. I've encountered folks, again, who are, they're going to make a rule, too, that there is Christian music and there's non-Christian music. And if the artist isn't a born-again believer in the way you like it, don't listen to them. Where I would say you can find beauty in a secular artist, depending on what they're talking about and their musicianship.
No, I would agree with that premise. There are some movies that are not appropriate, certainly not Christian movies, because, God is the author of all things. These non-Christian movie, producers and writers, they have created something that I can see God in a lot of times.
And so I think those who are the rule follower, Pharisaical almost kind of thing, they will be dismissive of the creative sometimes. Like I've heard the same group of people say, no guitar solos in church, not worshipful. And I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's not what you said, is what we're saying. Because you said, if you're not creative, you won't get it, which I don't think is true.
There's a difference between not being creative and not enjoying art.
Can't that be just a little melodramatic?
No, not when you're being rude.
You two are so entertaining for me. Okay, fine.
You can be
set
rude,
us up
but
for that.
You can't be mean.
Okay, you'd have a harder time getting it if you're not a creative.
I don't think so. See, you may not understand what you're seeing and why what you're seeing is pleasing to the eye, but you can still really enjoy it and find deep meaning in it.
But I've found Christians who are so deep into the tangible intellectual that they reject the creative. They outright reject
but I
it.
think those are two different things.
Yeah,
that we're
those
talking
people
about.
exist. You're creating black and white, and I think there's gray.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of creative people who would still say the church needs to be a box or the church needs to be this so that we are not missing any theological issues. I think you could be an artist of some kind, maybe a painter or something. You're creative in that way. And you still say, oh, if you aren't a Christian, I can't listen to you at all. I just don't think that all of that is like one person.
Okay. Anyway, beauty is awesome.
Yes.
I was trying to make a point that beauty is awesome and it's great and it can point to Jesus.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right. It's been a great show.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to tell you. So a couple of different
You can
ways
dish it,
that
but you can't take it?
no, that's not what I'm saying. I am allowing the two of you to quietly make your point while I loudly make mine.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to assume that mine's better because it's loud. Right, Ron?
If it's too loud, you're too young.
That's hilarious. Okay. So some of the ways that this person says beauty is an apologetic is, first of all, God is the source of all beauty. And so if something is beautiful, it has to come from God because he's perfect and complete, and he's the creator of all harmony in creation.
Yep.
You agree with that?
Yep.
Beauty reflects the nature of God. God is the essence of beauty, and therefore the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands, and therefore beauty points to God. Also, beauty is an act of worship, is one thing they claim. Also, the person says, beauty draws people to God. You think beauty draws people to God?
Yes, it's called special revelation.
Tell me more about special revelation.
There's general revelation and special revelation. So general revelation, wait, am I mixing them up? Either way.
I think you're right.
Beauty, so nature, isn't like, oh, God is saying things to you. It's not scripture. It's not someone preached the gospel to you. But when you sit in nature, maybe you're like at the Grand Canyon or something, and you're in awe, you're like so struck by how beautiful it is. That's God revealing himself to you because he made those things.
I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Like, it took me a while to really embrace taking in beautiful things in nature as an act of worship. It felt mystical.
It shouldn't, not at all. It shouldn't make you feel uncomfortable at all. God made those things.
You're not worshiping the things.
He made them beautiful.
No, I totally agree. But there was a context in which Christian culture was such that to know God is to be righteous. To experience God in nature is New Age.
God created nature, and if you can love him more deeply and appreciate what he's made for us and what he's made actually for himself to enjoy as well, that brings you closer to God.
You just go, wow, what a, intelligent, creative, beautiful mind that we serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you now. I'm just saying that it was a struggle for a while. And I'm glad that I've overcome that. But this is also where some of my disappointment comes in with it's more economical to build a giant warehouse boxy thing for church. But going to see a beautiful medieval or Renaissance era church is worshipful sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty is so breathtaking that it helps usher you into worship, I think.
Oh, yes, I agree.
I have a harder time going into a dark cement building and like feeling like I'm in a worship space just because there's a cross on the wall.
It doesn't feel like this space is special or set apart. I agree. I think we've lost something, not just in the Christian society, but society as a whole.
So I think we're agreeing with the premise, huh? That beauty is an apologetic of sorts. It doesn't give specifics of substitutionary atonement.
Yeah, it's not preaching the gospel, but it's showing you who God is.
There it is. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for us to go to hear J.D. Greer preach.